right? So hi guys, good morning. I hope that all of you are well and you have given your next exam, which was just few days ago, right? So I hope that you are satisfied with the kind of exam that you have been went through. So let's discuss the exam itself. So yeah, since I teach chemistry, so probably I'm going to discuss chemistry section, right? So let's start with the first question. See, before we jump to the discussion, I just want to make it clear that this exam, which happened this year, was relatively on a easier side as compared to the previous one, previous 2024 NEST exam. But there is a catch. This year, they have substantially involved higher level mathematical, problems and mathematical derivations that are certainly going to be problematic for someone who is weak in mathematics. So it's okay, right? So we will discuss the paper and I will tell you that what problem might be basically you might have faced, especially when you are quite uncomfortable in mathematics, and how to deal with them, right? So yeah, starting from the very first question, this is very easy. Maltose, a disaccharide, contains glycosidic linkage between, we all know, as I told you in the one shot session also, and I told you in the 50 most important session also, that this maltose is basically a polymer, a dimer basically of alpha D glucose, where 2 alpha D glucose are linked by C1 and C4 linkage. So if this is your C1, so it is going to be attached with the other C4 via glycosidic linkage, right? And both of these are alpha D, so the OH will be below side and its OH is bonded with the C4th OH, right? So this is nothing but the 2 units of alpha D glucose. That is so easy, right? You can obviously place the other necessary parts of the glucose. That is no issue. Consider the following compound. There is this compound, very easy to predict its IUPAC name. Even if you do not have much idea about IUPAC, you can just simply solve it by just knowing two rules: the lowest chain rule and the this functional group priority in the numbering. That's all. So the longest chain, we can see that 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9 is this one, nonane. So the compound which is having the main chain of 9 carbon is going to be your answer. So this is incorrect, this is incorrect, right? Now we have this OH on the third priority, third group, third position, and methyl on the sixth position, right? And there's a ethyl group on the fifth position. So we all know that your major functional group is going to be OH, so it is going to be 3 all, right? So 7 all is incorrect, 3 all is correct. Now if you even don't know that 5 ethyl or 6 methyl mein which one comes first, doesn't matter, because you are already getting your answer, right? However, we always give numbering uh, basically with respect to the functional group first, right? And write the one first, the substrate, not substrate, the, you can say what we call it, the substituent, basically we name it alphabetically, right? So ethyl comes first, that's why. According to the VSEPR theory, the shape of PCl5, PCl4 plus and PCl3 respectively are. So see, PCl5 is very simple. We all know this is the classic example of trigonal bipyramidal. And how to determine it, because I told you several times that this can be done by using V plus M minus C plus A by 2, where V is the valence number of electron, M is the monovalent atom, C is your positive charge, A is your negative charge, and that's how you get steric number. And if steric number is 5, it means that the hybridization is sp3d and the parent geometry becomes obviously trigonal bipyramidal. And since there is no lone pair, so it is going to be same in the geometry itself, right? Now PCl4 plus, so when you draw PCl3, it is just like ammonia, right? You have one lone pair, and when that lone pair is also donated to a chlorine, you get a PCl4 plus. It is absolutely tetrahedral, perfect tetrahedral, because no lone pair and all the surrounding atoms are similar. Now trigonal, see this PCl3, I just told you that you have a lone pair here and you have thus these three, so it is just like pyramidal. So you have this TBP, you have this tetrahedral, and you have this trigonal pyramidal, right? So these are the shapes that you are going to have. Moving to this one, if the density of liquid is 1.81 gram per centimeter cube, then the mass of 1.2 ml of liquid is basically in correct significant figures is, now see, 1.81 gram per centimeter cube means gram per ml. It means that 1 ml corresponds to 1.81 gram. So 1.2 ml is going to correspond to approximately 2.712 gram. Not approximately, this is the exact term. Now you have to basically tell it to the most correct significant figure, but the thing is that in this question they should have mentioned that at what decimal place you are expecting the significant figure to be, right? Suppose for one decimal place it can be correctly represented as 2.2, and if you took it to the two decimal places it can be correctly represented as 2.17, because this 2 can be round off to again back rule to 7, right? So either of these two could have been the right answer, right? And up to 3 decimal places this could have been, but maybe they are thinking that by default we take one decimal place only, that is why they have given the answer 2.2, but otherwise I think so that in this question they should have mentioned the decimal places, right? Anyways, the oxidation number and valence number of gallium in Ga2Cl4 having metal-metal bond respectively are. So Ga2Cl4 is just like that trivalent compound of gallium where gallium-gallium bond is there. So obviously the structure is going to be just like this, because we know that the compounds of this group basically forms trigonal planar compounds, right? So you just make a trigonal plane involving a gallium-gallium bond. Now you know that oxidation number is going to be +1 from this side, +1 from this side, so +2. Each gallium is going to have +2, so average is also going to be +2 for gallium, right? So 2 as the oxidation state is correct. So you already got the answer. But now if we talk about the valency, we all know that valency, acha, one more thing, that this gallium-gallium bond is absolutely kind of having same electronegativity. So that is why no electron movement here. That is why you get a oxidation state from this side and this side, right? So that is why you get a oxidation state of +2, and valency of 3, obviously because 3 bonds are there per gallium. So 2 and 3 is the correct answer thus, right? Now cyclopentene is transformed into 1,2,3. This is cyclopentene. You have to transform it to 1,2,3 tribromo cyclo pentane. Cyclo, oh, this is pentane, right? So we have to make pentane. Right? So this is pentane, right? Now this is 1,2,3 tribromo that you have to make from this compound. How can you make it? First, you have this allylic position, and if you want to attach bromine to this position, this alkene will help. So first you cannot eliminate this alkene, right? You cannot just dissolve this alkene and add Br2 directly, because then you cannot do bromination on this carbon. For bromination on this carbon, you need a stabilizing factor here which can stabilize the radical formed here, and that is why it is going to be right now allylic substitution to be your first step. That involves Br2CCl4, Br2HNu, 1 equivalent, remember, because we want only one bromine to be situated. So this is how you are going to get here. Array, this is not 6-membered. This is not 6-membered. You get something like this, right? And then what you do is normal the bromination Br2 in presence of some non-polar solvent, because we want the other Br minus to act as a nucleophile. So Br, you will get obviously this, right? So this is what you want to transform to, right? So A is the correct answer thus. Now moving to the compound P on reaction with KCN gives Q, which on catalytic hydrogenation with the H2Ni produces R. This is a compound P which on reaction with KCN obviously which is a cyanide donor, so probably there you are having a leaving group which is replaced by Cn minus, right? You get something Q, and which on reduction with H2Ni produces R. R on reaction with CHCl3 KOH forms N-propyl isocyanide. So probably you might be thinking of this as a 1, 2, 3. So this is nothing but the isocyanide test. This is carbylamine test, carbylamine reaction. And when does carbylamine happens? When you have a primary amine. So this propyl would be as it is, but you will have a isocyanide, means you will have a you will have a primary amine. So that is you might be having a technically a NH2, right? And if you are having a NH2 and it has been formed by the reduction, you know that if we reduce nitrile, then we get CH2NH2. So probably your Q is this, and if you want to make this, probably you need to replace something here with the cyanide with KCN. So P could be something which is here as a leaving group, and we know that it is like 1, 2 and leaving group. So chloroethane is the perfect answer for this, right? Ethene, we do not want ethene. Chloropropane we do not want because we want only 2 carbon chain. 1 chloropropene also could not be the answer. So the correct option could be chloroethane, right? Now, very simple, consider the following compound. So you have this compound and you have to tell the major product in an aromatic electrophilic substitution reaction where E is the electrophile, right? Now you know that electrophile is going to substitute whether this ring or this ring, but you know that on this ring the attack is not possible relatively, because here a electron withdrawing group is present, and this electron withdrawing group will abstract the electron density of the benzene ring, which will make it impossible for the benzene ring to attack ultimately on the electrophile, right? So it will rather attack here and on to the meta position, meta, because this is a meta directing group, and that is why you will probably get something like this, right? You can also get this here, this is similar, right? But it is similar, so you will take this possibility, right? So this is the correct answer. Very simple question. Hardly you could have spent 2 minutes on this question. 2 though is very like maximum. Consider the following reaction. This is the reaction. You have a ketone, you have a nitrile, you are using CH3 MgBr2 equivalent in ether. And in the second step you are hydrolyzing it. So technically CH3 minus will act as a nucleophile, because I told you that when you are having a non-protic environment, it will act as a nucleophile. Several times I have discussed this. So it has 2 equivalents. One equivalent will attack here and form alcohol, and another will attack here, because both are the valid pi star centers, right? So here you will get alcohol and a methyl group, obviously as usual, and add the C triple bond, and when you get this attack of CH3, the second equivalent of this CH3 minus, you get a CH3 here, and this pi bond shifts to the first pi bond shifts to the nitrogen, and it becomes N minus, and this N minus is stabilized for that matter by MgBr plus, right? And then when you hydrolyze it, we know that all the bonds are vanished away, right? Obviously you are having a O minus here, right? Because hydrolysis is done now. So all the negative charges will be settled down, and you will get a alcohol here, and you will get a, obviously both the bonds, I told you na several times that whenever you do hydrolysis you break all the bonds, right? And to the less electronegative carbon you add OH, and to the more one you add H, so you will get some NH3 or NH2 MgBr as a left out product, side product, and you will get COHOH, which will lose water, and you will ultimately get a ketone substituted with a methyl. So that is how this A option is correct. So it's really easy, right? Nothing much you should be worrying about. Next is also reducing the exam level. I don't know why, but if you might have gone through the PYQs of the last year, not last year, especially from 2018-19, you will see that at that point of time it was extremely difficult. Maybe shayad that is why very few students have appeared in it. But I think so that what SciAstra is doing simultaneously is increasing the awareness of the NEST exam, but NEST is reducing the difficulty. It is not going to be some proper match. I think that they should slightly have to start increasing the difficulty level so that the main gist of the NEST exam should remain constant, na? Because it's really easy. It is not actual NEST that we usually used to see in 2018, 19 and so on, right? But nowadays, past 3 years, they are reducing the exam level. However, this is also pretty tough. But as compared to what was the level of NEST in back in 19, 20, 21, as the competition is increasing in this, or as the awareness I should say is increasing in this, difficulty level should also be not that much like in the decaying format. That is my opinion, truly, right? Maybe you are feeling happy, but ultimately the cutoff will rise equivalently, like sorry. So yeah, isopropyl benzene when oxidized in the presence of an air followed by treatment with dilute HCl, very common reaction. You know the cumene reaction, and they have asked this several times, right? And I have told you this many times that when you treat it in air with oxygen, right, you get isopropyl or something like that, hydroperoxide, right? Cumene hydroperoxide or isopropyl, benzene isopropyl hydroperoxide. I don't know why I am fumbling so much, but maybe, right? So when you just treat it with HCl, acidic medium, when you do hydrolysis of this, you get a famous product that is phenol, and you get a ketone, right? So you got P and Q. P turns blue litmus to red, so this is P, and P upon treatment with P produces R, something that is R when you treat it with chromic acid. So you treat it with chromic acid, which is oxidizing agent, because in chromic acid you know that Cr is in +6, so it is heavily you know intending to reduce something, oxidize something and reduce itself to chromium +3 perhaps, right? So it is going to oxidize this, and we have understood this reaction in the NCERT also. I told you that this is important to note, that whenever we treat phenol with some extremely good oxidizing agent, it gets converted to quinol, right? So this is what you are going to get. So all the reactions are so far from NCERT, although they have beautifully designed the question, right? A first row transition metal dipositive ion forms an octahedral aqua complex P, which is paramagnetic, right? So there is this some complex, some transition metal which is in +2 oxidation state forms a aqua complex with P, right? So you have some MH2O whole 6 +2. Why +2? Because metal is in +2 oxidation state, and when the ligand is neutral, overall charge is same as the oxidation state. So this is the complex. When you treat it with excess ammonia, we know that all the water ligands will be replaced. You get this, right? And then when you treat it with so remember that this is paramagnetic, they are saying, and this P is also paramagnetic. Now when they treat it with NaCN excess, so obviously this cyanide will replace the ammonia. Now there is a possibility, as per the option, you can get a tetrahedral substituted product or a octahedral substituted product, or a square planar product. That is totally that you are not aware of, right? Because there are 3 types of or 4 types of compounds that are given for R, right? So you just have to tell the right PQR, right? So what they are saying, that whatever complex here is formed, this is diamagnetic. So for diamagnetic, you should know that it must not having any unpaired electron, right? So nickel here is in +2, titanium also +2, vanadium also +2, and copper also is in +2. Copper in +2 is D9, because it is D10S1, so it becomes D9. So it will have 1 unpaired electron, so it is not diamagnetic. V +2, scandium, titanium, vanadium, which is D3S2, so it is also D3. It is also having 3 unpaired electron. In titanium, Scandium, titanium, D2S2, so it is D2, it is having 2 unpaired electron. And in nickel, you have D8S2, it is D8. So here you are having D8 configuration, and obviously cyanide ligand is there, so when you fill D8, these two gets back paired because of cyanide. And when this happens, you get D2 or DSP, or you can say technically D3S as hybridization probably, because you have one d orbital here free and the s and the other not D3S, you will get, probably you can either get, since this is a square planar, so you will get DSP2 as the hybridization. Internal 3d orbital, 1d orbital which is empty now after the pairing, s and 2p orbital. So square planar, this NiCN whole 4 2 minus is square planar. This is also mentioned in NCERT, right, because of the pairing, right. So only complex that will basically be diamagnetic in R is this one. So the correct option is obviously A. You need not to check first and second, it will save your time, right. Now, and obviously these complex now going to be this one, you just need to replace M with the nickel. So this is going to work, right. Now, this question, the correct sequence of the given manganese oxide with respect to the melting point is, so see, the melting point of any compound depends on, especially when you are talking about a transition metal compound, it heavily relies on the number of d electrons, because as we have studied in back in 9th and 10th also, that in metal bonding, the metal bonding is basically based on the attraction, the electrostatic attraction between the positive charge kernels that usually vibrates and with the electrons that are randomly attracted by the nucleus. So more the number of unpaired electrons, remember that transition metal complexes or compounds melting point is directly proportional to number of unpaired electrons, because more unpaired electrons will not rely, I should say, more unpaired electrons will facilitate more attraction with the nucleus and thus a stronger bonding and stronger melting point thus, right. So you just have to calculate the configuration. We all know that in Mn2O7 it is in +7 oxidation state, so it is D0, right. In MnO2 it is in +4 oxidation state, so it is D5S2, it will be like D5S2, so it will be D3. In Mn2O3 it is in +6 oxidation state, not +6, +3 oxidation state, and +3 means D5S2 or D4, so it is D4. And here in MnO it is in +2 oxidation state, it means D5, and all are obviously not going to pair anywhere, because your oxygen will technically not behave as strong, right. So technically you are going to get, still if you do pairing also, because of the high oxidation state, let's suppose, you will still get the number of electrons, unpaired electrons in this format only, right. Now you need to understand that as your number of d electrons, especially the unpaired one, here you are having 3 unpaired electron, here you are having 4 unpaired electron, here you are having 5 unpaired electrons. So as the unpaired electrons increases, the more positive charge nucleus is going to attract the electrons perfectly. Unpaired electrons will have a very strong electrostatic attraction with the nucleus, giving rise to a higher melting point. That is why option A is the most correct one, right, comparing with other, right. Now, the metal ion that does not form a stable metal carbonyl complexes, metal carbonyl, it's a very important and interesting topic, and now that they have introduced metal carbonyl, be aware, the students who are planning to take a drop or who are planning to give the next exam next year also, please make sure that you understand this very clearly, that now that they have introduced metal carbonyl, they will ask questions on this, and trust me, this is the entire new sea of the question bank, because this involves organometallic chemistry, and when you will go to higher studies in chemistry, when you will do the preparation for JAM, GATE, CSIR, you will realize that organometallic chemistry is a nightmare for most of the students, because it is very vast, and especially metal carbonyls, trust me, right? So it's up to you how you take my advice. However, I taught this in the revision session also, and I had an instinct that they are going to certainly ask questions from this. And if you are not believing me, just go back and see the 50 most important question series. You will realize that I have introduced metal carbonyls, the metal ion that does not form stable metal carbonyl complex. So metal carbonyl stable, because this is absolutely incorrect grammatically, but I am a chemist. So metal carbonyl stable is stable because of the synergistic bonding, and synergistic bond says that metals d electron are going to be entered or shared with the pi star orbital of the carbonyl C double bond O. That is why you have a partially double bonded type of a character in each metal carbonyl bond. That makes it stronger. But for that you should have electrons in the M, right, metal. So metals d orbital should have the electron, but here if you see, in titanium plus 4 is d0, vanadium plus 3, scandium, titanium, vanadium, d3s2, it is d3, chromium plus 3, it is also like d5s1, so you get 1, 2 and 3, so it is like also d3, right, and manganese plus 4 is also like if you see d5s2, so you get 2 electrons and 2 electrons, so you get obviously d4, right, 5, no, it is also d5s2, right, so d5s2 means you will still get d3, right. So I guess how, by the way, this is possible? This can't be. Wait a minute. Vanadium, scandium, titanium, vanadium is d3s2. So when you lose 3 electrons, you get a d2 configuration, not d3, right? D2 configuration, right? Obviously, and chromium is d5s1. So you get 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, it is d3 and it is also d3. Correct. So now nothing, no d electrons, so no synergistic bonding. Are how will it do the synergistic bonding with carbonyls pi star, baba? Because for that we should have the electrons in the metal itself, na, d orbital, only then it will transfer back to the pi star, na. Since no d electrons are there, how will it make a stable complex with carbonyl? So that is why this is going to be your answer. The titanium 4 plus will not make stable complexes with CO. Since other have certain number of d electrons, they will do it quite well. However, they are also not very stable. Let me tell you that most of the carbonyl complexes usually have metals in their lowest possible oxidation state or even negative, right. So consider 2 radioactive substances. Now moving to some questions that are that involve some mathematical derivations, simple ones. Consider 2 radioactive substances P and Q. P dissociates to something, yeah, decays to something P star. Q dissociates to or disintegrates to something Q star, and they follow first order kinetics. It takes 9 years for P to decay to third of its initial amount. In the same 9 years, Q decays by half. So if we if we just write the concentration scenario at T is equals to 9R, we will see not 9R, 9 year. 9 year. So we will see that if initially at T is equals to 0, the initial concentration here is P naught, right. So it becomes P naught minus P naught by 2 by 3 of P naught, right. So the concentration left is how much? 1 by 3 P naught. So this is the concentration left at the 9th year. And similarly for this, at T is equals to 0, if we have Q naught as the initial concentration, and at T is equals to 9 year, we get q naught minus how much is dissociated? Q naught by 2. So what is left is also q naught by 2, right? Now, what they are saying that initially P naught by Q naught is 81 by 16. So if we take the ratio of P naught by Q naught, which is the initial concentrations of these, is 81 by 16. So this we know. Now, the number of years after which the quantities of P and Q would be same, means the left out quantities of P and Q would be same, we have to just tell that. So for that, first we need to calculate the ratios for their K constants, because rate constants are going to be different for both of them. So this is very simple. The formula that you are going to use is n by n naught is equals to e raised to the power minus kt, right, where n is the left concentration at any time, n naught is the initial concentration. So we are going to apply it for both the scenarios. For this one, we know that P naught, sorry, what is the left concentration? That is 1 by 3 P naught. So 1 by 3 P naught, and what is the initial concentration? P naught is equals to e raised to the power minus k 9, right, or 9k, because the time is 9 years, so minus 9k. And k also would be different, so I will write here kp, right, for the P substance. And for this, it is going to be, what is the left out concentration? That is q naught by 2. What is the initial concentration? That is q naught, and equals to a minus 9 kq. So if you solve this, you will realize that taking the log of the reverse, you will easily get this minus log 3 minus ln 3, and this becomes minus 9 kp, and this becomes minus ln 2, it becomes minus 9 kq. It's very simple, right? So we get this minus to minus cancel, and we get technically kp as 1 upon 9 ln 3, and here we get kq as 1 upon 9 ln 2, right? Right? And now we have to, now that we have got the relation between kp and kq, now we have to find out the time at time t when n of p, which is the left out concentration of p, is equals to n of q, left out concentration of n. And since we know, as per this formula, n is equals to n naught e raised to the power minus kt, and if np is equals to nq, we can write n naught of p e की power minus kpt equals to n naught of q e की power minus kqt, right? And n naught e की power minus kpt. So n naught is, what is the initial concentration of n naught? P, arre p naught na, and e raised to the power minus kpt will be as it is for now, right? And this q naught e raised to the power minus kqt. We know p naught by q naught because this is given, and this becomes e raised to the power minus kqt by e raised to the power minus kpt, right? Solving this, we get 81 by 16 equals to, now base is same, so we can subtract the power, so we will get e raised to the power kpt minus kqt, because this kpt goes up, so it becomes positive, na? So we can write it in this way, right? Now taking the log ln 81 by 16, it becomes kpt minus kqt, right? And this is approximately, you can take it as 5. So ln 5 is 0.601, something like that, or something like, यही होती है ना वैल्यू यार ln 5 की 0.601, नहीं तो निकालनी पड़ेगी. Let me calculate this. ln 3 plus ln 2 ln 3 plus ln 2 ln 5 is 0.609. Okay, so kpt, so t you can take common because that is what you want to find out. Kp is, we just took it as 1 upon 9 ln 3. So you can take 1 upon 9 also common, ln 3 minus ln 2, what you will get it, right? And oh हाँ, this is 1.60 something, right, obviously 1.609, pardon, right? See, I told you I am a chemist, not a mathematician, and that is why these things I rather calculate, right? Because I've got the software. So yeah, but you need not to do that. You have to remember these basic values. So it will be like time period will be equals to 9 into 1.609 divided by ln3 minus ln2. So ln3 is 1.732 and ln2 is minus 1.414, something like that. So what you will get is approximately 9 into 1.609 and okay, 14.48. So approximately you are getting something like 14.48 divided by 1.732 minus 1.414, 0.318. 0.318. Is it true? Maybe. So 14.48 divided by 0.318. No. Maybe ln2 is something different. 0.693. 0.693, not something like this. It is ln3. So ln3 is 1.09. Maybe I was taking for log, something like that, and it is 0.693. And when you solve this, you get approximately 0.4 something. So what you get is 0.109 minus 0.693, it becomes 0.397. I should say 14.48 divided by 0.392, 0.392, 14.48 divided by 0.392. So it is approximately 36 point something. So here it is like 36.9, but yeah, early when I calculated it came out 35 point something. So it will be like ranging about 36. So you can rely on 36 as the nearest integer. So 36 years is the time period which will allow this initial concentration. Since the gap is very huge, even if you get 37 or 35, you can tick on 36, right? So that is why this is the correct answer. So this is the time period at which the initial concentration, the concentration that is left out will be same for both the P and Q based on their decay rate, right? Consider the reaction X plus Y gives 2Z performed in 1 liter container. So your X plus Y gives 2Z is performed, this is 2Z and it is performed in 1 liter container. So the volume is 1 liter. The equilibrium constant is 0, and remember one more thing, the delta Ng is 0. The equilibrium constant is equal to 0. K equilibrium is 0.5. If the reaction begins with 1 mole of X, 2 moles of Y and n moles of Z, means already existing initially, you have 1 mole of this, 2 moles of this and n moles of this, and at equilibrium the quantity of Z, overall quantity of Z, whatever has been there, is 1 mole, right? So you want to calculate for the value of n, right? So n is equals to how much? Now listen, this is if your reaction proceeds, you can write it simultaneously in the form 1 minus n prime something, 2 minus n prime something, and this is like n minus, because n is the amount, initial amount, n plus, because n is already there and you are producing something extra, so n plus 2n prime will be there, right? And this we know that n plus 2n prime is total equals to 1, so you get something for n which is like 1 plus 2n prime, right? Now we first have to calculate the value of n prime. How we will calculate it? By using the expression of K equilibrium, that is 0.5. K equilibrium for this will be written as n plus 2n prime square raised to the power 1 minus n prime, 2 minus n prime, and obviously this value is 1, so you will get 1 square and you will get 1 minus n prime, 2 minus n prime, right? So when you solve this, you will get certainly 1 minus n prime, 2 minus n prime, and when this 0.5 goes there, it becomes 2. So solving this, you will get a quadratic probably. So 2 minus n prime minus 2n prime plus n prime square, and you will get 2. So 2 se 2 will be cancelled. right? So you will get a very easy type of quadratic in which c is 0, right? So you will get the quadratic like n square minus 2n prime, sorry 3n prime minus 3n prime plus is equals to 0. And if you compare it with the general quadratic equation, that is ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0. So you can say that a is 1 here, b is minus 3 and c is 0. So when you calculate x, for example you want to calculate here n prime, which is the root, will have the following formula, that is Sri Dharacharya's formula, minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac upon 2a, right? And similarly this becomes n prime is equals to, what is b? Minus 3. So minus of minus 3, because already the value is minus 3 and one minus is there in the formula itself, becomes equals to b square, that is 9 minus 0, because c is 0, so entirely 4ac will be 0 and 2ac will be 2, right? So what you will get is the two values of n prime. So either n prime could be 3 plus 3 by 2 or n prime could be 3 minus 3 by 2. So one is 0, one is 3, right? Because this is 6, 2, 3 are 6. So you could have two values, right? Now choose wisely. What is the relation that we were getting? That n is equals to 1 plus 2n prime, right? 1 plus 2n prime. And if you put 1 minus 2n prime, 1 minus 2n prime. If you put 3 here, you will get something like minus 5, which is absolutely incorrect because n cannot be negative, right? But here, if you put 0, then 1 minus 2 into 0, it becomes 1, and that is which can that is the right correct root. So n is 1. That's all. That's all you want to calculate, right? So the value of n is 1, right? Moving to the next one. Photoelectric setup, the relationship between the maximum velocity Vmax of the photoelectrons and the incident radiation frequency nu, where nu naught is the threshold frequency, is best represented as. Now this was the mathematical classic question, not classic for you, classic for the one who is basically surrounded by mathematics, right? And I am agreeing to this to a very large extent, that if you don't know about the deep understanding of the equations of different types of curves, you will basically eventually not be able to predict the graph certainly correctly. Obviously you can eliminate few of the options, but ultimately you might face trouble. But here the fundamental that you have to follow is the photoelectric equation. And if you isolate, since you want to plot v versus nu, so you need to keep nu on the y axis. So you have to place it on the left hand side. So if we calculate v square, it becomes like something what it becomes is like 2h by m nu minus 2h by m nu naught, right? And when you take it common, 2h by m, you get something like nu minus nu naught plus 0, something like, I can write it as plus 0. Why I am writing, I will tell you. This equation is exactly comparable with the equation that is like y square is equals to a x minus x naught, where x is the parameter on the x-axis and x naught is its one of the intercept, plus 0 or plus c. So this c here is known as y-intercept, that where will your equation cut the y-axis, right? Since it is not cutting anywhere, this 0 means that it has no y-intercept, whereas this x naught is known as x-intercept or vertex, where will the curve start technically or intercept on the x-axis, that is v naught, right? So the curve will start from v naught on the x-axis, that is true, right? And this part tells us about the slope. If this is positive, curve is upward, and if this is negative, curve is downward, right? So here this is positive, right? So it means that you are going to get a upward kind of a, you can say, parabolic relation, not a linear one. So this is incorrect, this is also incorrect. Now either this can be true or that can be true, but this is incorrect. Why? because the curve corresponding to this equation, for those who have studied this might understand, and for those who have not, you have to retain this in your memory, that for this type of equation the curve represents a change which governs a pattern like this, like you have a sudden increase in the value and then it becomes gradual, right? So this is how you plot it, right? So I know that this question was the most difficult one for those who have no idea of the mathematics, but yes, Rishabh, you can technically, right? So let's move. Oh, very simple and yet a good question to understand basically your understanding on this topic. Consider a hypothetical order of molecular orbitals. So energy wise you have been given few orbitals. All you have to do is just have to fill the electrons based on the principles of Hund's, Aufbau and all, right? Assuming this MO ordering is valid for all the given atomic diatomic molecule listed in the listed here, the diatomic molecule that would be paramagnetic is. So for all these four you have to just fill the electrons. So 16 for O2, you have to fill for O2, F2, C2 and N2, and you have to see which one is paramagnetic, right? Now see, for O2 you will fill 16 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, diamagnetic, right? Now so this is dia. For F2 you will have 18 electrons, so 2 electrons extra. So 2 electrons extra means 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, again diamagnetic, no unpaired electron. For C2 you have 12 electrons, so you have to reduce 6 electrons, so you will reduce 6 electrons, right? So you will get again the entirely paired format, right? So you will get diamagnetic. So the only option is N2, because when you add 2 electrons here, because this is 12, when you add 2 extra electrons you get 2 unpaired electrons, and this is why as per this molecular configuration paramagnetic ion will be N2, right? This question might be confusing because the student might be thinking that N2, so we have studied it is diamagnetic. No, N2 is diamagnetic based on its actual molecular orbital configuration, but this is a hypothetical configuration that is valid. They are saying that hypothetically valid for all of them, so how will you justify, right? So N2 is the correct option, right? This is a very nice question, in fact, to understand the confidence that you might be having on. No yaar, no, don't do this. The same problem. Right? So yeah, this is N2, right? And now question number 18, this is also little bit calculative but not that much, and it is very easy. Let the vapor pressure of the liquid be P1 and P2 at two different temperatures, T1 and T2 respectively. They are related as the equation given by ln P2 by P1 is equals to delta H by R 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2, right? And I can very proudly say that they are now increasing the level of difficulty by introducing new equations every time. So now they have introduced this equation also. Now next time they will not introduce this equation and just ask the question directly based on this equation, right? So remember this, where delta H represents the heat of vaporization. So delta H is something which is known as heat of vaporization. It means, see, vaporization happens at boiling point, and it means that the initial temperature corresponds to the boiling point of the water, right? Right? Now, assuming R to be 2 calorie per mole per Kelvin, delta H for water is equal to 540 calorie per gram, and P denotes the vapor pressure of the water at 450 Kelvin, right? So it means that the T2 is also there. So you have got the values of T1, that is how much boiling point happens at 373. T2 value is given 450. P1 1 atm, because boiling normally happens at 1 atm, and at that condition your delta H is 540, but it is calorie per gram and R is in calorie per mole. So you have to calculate this in calorie per mole. So for that you need to understand that you have to multiply this with 18, that is the molecular mass of the water. Thus it becomes calorie per mole, right? Now you have to calculate P2. P2 they are saying that it is P, it is denoted by P, you have to calculate ln P. So as per this equation, ln P by 1 delta H, that is 540 into 18 divided by R, that is 2, and 1 upon T, this is T2 minus T1 upon T1 T2. So T2 minus T1 is basically 77, and this becomes the multiplication, that is 450 into 373. This is simple, like you can solve this, and when you solve this you will understand that ln P becomes approximately 2.23, right? So this is the correct answer, right? You can simply just solve this equation, right? Now question number 9. The Gibbs free energy G for the liquid is considered as a function of the temperature T and the pressure P. G is plotted either as the function of temperature at different constant pressures P1 and P2, where P2 is greater than P1, or as a function of pressure at different constant temperatures T1 and T2, T2 where is greater than T1. The correct variation of delta G is best represented by. Now there are the plots for the liquid, certain liquid, between the Gibbs free energy and the temperature, and Gibbs free energy and the pressure, and you have to tell the correct relation. Now understand one thing, that the equation that is used here is technically two equations. That is first time that you are going to face this type of question. So if you have not studied that much thermodynamics, you are advised to leave this question as it is. But for those who have studied, the equation del G by del T, that says that variation of G with T at constant pressure, right, del G by del T at constant P is equals to minus S, means negative of entropy, whereas the del G by del P at constant T, yeah, variation of, you can say variation of del G, yeah, Gibbs free energy with respect to pressure at constant temperature equals to the volume. Based on these two, you can easily predict the graph. See, del G by del T at constant P is minus S, and for liquid, when you are increasing the temperature, you are increasing the, technically you are increasing the temperature, na? So you are basically kind of expanding the liquid, right? It is basically expanding, it is getting more randomized, so its entropy is technically increasing. So if your entropy is technically increasing, you will say that it is increasing in the negative, so you are saying that delta G is decreasing. So as you increase the temperature, delta G will decrease, definitely. And the other thing, we know that delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S, and when we fix the temperature, means we compare if at a single temperature which delta G is higher. So we know that the delta G of P2 is higher. It means that P2 is higher than P1. Why? Because delta G at constant T, this entire thing is constant. Suppose delta G is then proportional, then it proportionates to delta H, and we know that delta H is proportional to P. So higher P involves higher delta H, lower P involves lower delta H, and since P2, they are saying that P2 is greater than P1, it means that delta H2 is greater than delta H1, it means that delta G2 will be greater than delta G1. So this is absolutely correct, where P2 at a particular temperature is giving higher value of G. So this is correct graph, and if this is correct, its other counterpart going to be incorrect, because they are saying P1 has the higher value at any given particular temperature. Now this equation del G by del P at constant T is equals to V. This says that as your, should understand like this, that as your G, technically if you increases the G, right, if you increases the G, or sorry, not increase the G, del G by del P may, you should understand this, since the change is positive. What they are saying, that when you technically try to increase the pressure somehow, right, so changing the pressure, I should say, changing the pressure causes a positive increase in the value of del G, because the magnitude is positive, V is positive, right, and that is why you can say that delta G should increase with increase in the pressure, if we are talking about at constant temperature as per this relation. So graph cannot be like with a negative slope, it is going to be positive, because the differential is coming out to be positive. So that is why this graph, both of them are incorrect, right? Now Moving to the last question, that is also very simple question. Consider the electrochemical cell with two metal ion electrodes represented as M solid M plus 2, and it converts its entire like to N plus 2 and N. Basically this is the oxidation half and this is the reduction half, where M and N are the two different metals. The plot of the EMF for the cell, the plot of the the plot of the EMF of the cell means E cell with the ln of the C1 by C2, where C1 and C2 are the concentrations of M plus 2 and N plus 2 respectively. A linear plot is there with intercept x and slope y. Let the equilibrium constant for the cell reaction, this one is K. Correct relationship involving K is. You might be heavily confused by seeing so much information, but hold on. Whatever you know, just write it. You know Nernst equation, write it. E cell, E naught cell plus minus 0 or RT by NF ln oxidized form, that is as per this cell is N plus 2, right, and reduced form, that is M plus 2 as per this form, right. You've written this. Now you know that N plus 2's concentration is C2, so you are getting E cell minus RT by NF ln C2 by C1, right. This is equals to E cell, and you want to calculate for ln C1 by C2, so reverse it, and when you reverse it you get a positive value of RT by NF ln C1 by C2, so you get a positive. Now you plot E cell versus ln C1 by C2. What you are getting is, this is slope, right, this is slope, right, y is equals to mx plus c. If you compare it with that, this is slope and slope is given y, and this is intercept, this is given x, this is intercept, this is y intercept, its value is x, don't get confused. So this intercept at y axis is x and the slope is y, right. Now so your equation becomes E cell is equals to x plus y ln C1 by C2. So this is what exactly you have plotted, right. Now one thing that you should know, at equilibrium for reaction, the reaction is given M N plus 2 combines to form M plus 2 and N. In this reaction, how will you write the K equilibrium? M plus 2 concentration divided by N plus 2 concentration, because other things are purely liquid, so its concentration is not utilized in this expression. We know that very well. And this exactly can be represented as C2 by C1 or C1 by C2, I should say. C1 by C2, C1 by C2, right, C1 by C2. So it means that at equilibrium, when equilibrium is established, K equilibrium can be represented as ln K, which is equals to C1 by C2, and also at equilibrium E cell is 0, right. So 0 x plus y, this is ln K minus x by y, correct, got it. So that's all for the NIST 2025, and for this paper you have been preparing entirely for the year, right, and with the all dedication that you have, and so this is going to be fruitful for you. If you have prepared for this exam, don't worry much about the cutoffs, don't worry much about the question that you have left or you have done wrong. Unfortunately, things are going to be in your favor if you have diligently prepared for this exam. Trust me, the exam that is difficult in nature usually does not do nainsafi with its students, right. So see you soon. You are going to get your next discussion started. So I will just call the next mentor. Meanwhile, you just take a nap, not a nap, just take rest, eat something or drink water. So who is next? So okay. So I am going to give you a break of 5 minutes, then we will resume this. So please be there. In 5 minutes we are going to start with the discussion of biology, I guess, right? So see you guys.
Okay, okay, students. So, yes, I think you have seen your chemistry part, है ना? I hope that you all have done quite good in chemistry and also in all other two subjects that you have attended. And if I talk about the difficulty level of the paper, of the whole paper, I think it was easier than last year papers. Okay, like if you have solved PYQs, then you would have noticed that the paper was of slightly easier side if you compare it with the PYQs. Okay, and similar is the case with biology also. If we compare the biology part of this year 2025 with the previous year papers, then we can say that it was slightly easier than previous years. There were some questions which all the students can solve who have studied a little, even if a little bit in biology, but there were some questions which were actually difficult and which needed some amount of knowledge of biology as well as some amount of uh, conceptual clarity, and you should know how to apply that concept in the question to get the answer. Okay, but yes, more or less the paper was easier than last year's, so you can expect that cutoff can go a little bit higher this year, not to a larger extent, but little bit. Let's see the paper. So the first question, it is similar to one of the PYQs. In that PYQ, they have asked similar questions with respect to DNA, double stranded DNA, and now here in this question they are asking with respect to protein. So they are saying that if amino acid, when amino acids they combine to form a protein, they form many kinds of bonds, and one of the bond is salt bridge. Okay, not bond, one of the interaction is a salt bridge. And what does it lead to? It leads to decrease in enthalpy, because formation of different types of bonds leads to more and more stability, and in order to gain stability we should have lesser energy, and in order to gain lesser energy we should release heat, which actually decreases the enthalpy, So that's why A is the correct answer here. Okay, let's see. Next question from photosynthesis. Which one is the correct combination? Let's see. First statement. Water is oxidized and protons are released in the stroma. No. Water is oxidized and protons are released in the lumen. Incorrect. Photosystem 1 reduces NADP to NADPH. Correct. Cytochrome B6F complex transfers protons into lumen. Correct. ATP synthase transport proton from stroma to lumen. No, from lumen to stroma. Opposite is the correct thing. Okay, so the protons are transferred from lumen to stroma, not stroma to lumen. That's why this is incorrect. So the only correct options are second and third. So that's why this is correct answer. Okay, clear? So I was seeing yesterday that students, they were saying that in the answer key all the options that are correct are option A. So this is an official answer key. In your paper you may have got different subsets of paper, different types of papers in which these options were jumbled. Okay, so A is not the correct answer for your paper, let's say. Okay, this is answer key, that's why they have written all the answers as A. Okay, this is an answer key type of thing. Next, they are saying that malaria caused by Plasmodium is transmitted by Anopheles. Plasmodium transforms into a virulent form X. Plasmodium transforms into a virulent form X, which is stored in salivary gland of the mosquito, and it is transferred. This X is transferred to human. What is this X? This is sporozoid. Sporozoid is a stage which is an infectious stage of Plasmodium, and it is transferred in the human body when a female Anopheles bites any person. And this Y is a toxin which is released, and it causes fevers and chills in the body of people. So hemozine, Y is hemozine. Bus, this is the correct answer. So that's why sporozoite and hemozine is the correct answer. Okay, next. Now question from oxyhemoglobin curve. They are saying that this is an oxyhemoglobin curve. P, Q, R are the different partial pressures of oxygen in different stages or in different parts of our body. So what can be those parts of the body which has a partial pressure of oxygen as 20, 40 and 100. Partial pressure of oxygen is 100, means very high. Where does the partial pressure of oxygen is high? In those places only where the concentration of oxygen is very high, and we know that concentration of oxygen is very high in either lungs, alveoli, or oxygenated blood or left atrium. Okay, so the answer can be anything. So they are saying arteries, correct, because arteries have approximately 95 mm Hg of oxygenated blood. Okay, 40 is some vein, can be some vein, because 40 mm Hg is the partial pressure of oxygen present in the blood of veins, and 20 is very less, so it can be present in those veins, after exercise, because in exercise we end up using lots of oxygen. That's why the concentration of oxygen or the partial pressure of oxygen becomes relatively very less after exercise. That's why this answer is correct. Veins, post exercise, veins at rest, and arteries. Clear? So that's what the answer is. Next. Now they are saying that if a human somatic cell, they are asking about somatic cells, and if they are asking about somatic cells, we can assume that it is a diploid cell, है ना? And now they are saying that this diploid cell, what is the ploidy, what can be the ploidy of these somatic cells at metaphase and telophase stage? We know that it is going to be diploid only. Okay, it is going to be diploid only. Clear? So both of them are diploid. That is the correct answer. It is not the case of meiosis, and it is not the case of germ cells. It is not the case of any haploid cell. They have said that it is a somatic cell which is diploid, and hence in any stage, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, prophase, and in any stage the ploidy level will be 2n, that is diploid. Okay, next. Now here they are asking questions from this Michaelis-Menten constant. You only need to know one formula, V is equal to V max into S upon Km plus S. Clear? Now let's see. They have asked us about the maximum velocity. They are asking to calculate this V max, and they have given us this value of V here, 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 3. V max we have to calculate into S. S they have given, this is 0.03, 3 into 10 to the power minus 2 upon Km. Km they have given us this thing. The subset concentration required to reach half of the maximum velocity is 0.06, that is Km, plus S, 3 into 10 to the power minus 2. Just calculate it, you will get your answer. What will be the answer? Let's see. 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 3, 6 plus 3, 9 into 10 to the power minus 2 upon 3 into 10 to the power minus 2. This is gone. 3 3s are 9 and 1.5 into 3, 15 3s are 45. 4.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 should be the answer. This is the answer. Okay. Clear? Clear? Let's move ahead. Let's see. Let's see. Now this question was actually, we can say that it was one of the toughest question in this paper. Let's see. They are saying that there were 250 bacterial cells which were inoculated into a flask containing growth medium. So the initial number of cells were 250. Okay. And after 3 hours, that means time is 3 hours, that is 180 minute. Okay, 180 minute. The concentration will be increased because of exponential growth. So let's say the final number was some n. Okay, n was the final number, and we don't know what is n. Clear? Now they are saying that from this n, 0.01 ml of bacterial culture was added to 9.99 ml of diluent. Means 0.01 ml was taken upon 9.99 diluent, means total of 9.99 plus 1, 10, total 10. So it was diluted to 10 to the power minus 3 ml. Okay. Now they are saying that from this mixture they have taken 0.1 ml. 0.1 ml of this has been taken. It means that they have taken 10 to the power minus 4 times of bacteria. Okay. 10 to the power minus 4 times of bacteria which were actually present here. Okay. And now from this sample they are able to see that from this sample 102 colonies were observed, and they are saying that if each colony originated from one bacterium, which means that 102 colonies means this much of bacterial populations contain 102 bacteria. They contain 102 bacteria. Okay. So the concentration will be 102 bacteria. So 102 by 10 to the power 4, 10 to the power minus 4. Okay, so the actual concentration n, value of n would be 102 into 10 to the power 4. Okay. So this is the value of n, and now you just have to apply a formula. N is equal to n naught into 2 to the power n. This is number of generations. Okay, just apply this thing. N is what? 102 into 10 to the power 4. N naught is 250. 2 to the power n. N is number of generation. Number of generation means what? Total time upon generation time. You have to calculate this t. Now just you have to solve it. 102 by into 10 to the power 4 by 250 is equal to 2 to the power 180 upon t. And I know that you must have got calculators during the exam and on your PCs. So you just have to take a log here and calculate the value of t, and that will come out to be 15 minutes. That will come out to be 15 minutes. Okay. So this is only calculation, and on calculation you will get t is equal to 15 minutes. Clear? Clear, students? Question is not wrong. No questions are wrong. Okay. So there is no chance of any bonus. Okay. Let's move ahead. Now here in this question they have marked something 1, 2 and 3, and they are asking that what can be this 1, 2 and 3. You know that this is a G1 phase, this is G1 phase, this is S phase, this is G2 phase, this is G2 phase, and this is M phase. Okay. Now they are saying that what can be these things 1, 2, 3. We know that in the growth phase, growth factors will be released. So growth factors can be 1. Second, in S and G2 phase, we know that in S phase DNA replication happens, but the cells will undergo mitosis or will enter into mitotic phase if and only if the DNAs are replicated. So that's why it is DNA replication. And 3 can be again, 3 is in between, 3 is some function which is present in between the M phase or the dividing phase. Okay, clear? So 3 can be what? Chromosome attachment to spindles. Correct? Absolutely correct. Okay, clear? Let's move ahead. Next they are saying that there was a method known as shotgun method which was used to sequence DNA, and in that case you have fragmented the DNA, you have got the fragments of DNA. Now you have to make sure the sequence of DNA present in a stretch. Okay? So you just have to see the overlaps. Which segment of DNA is overlapping to which segment of DNA. Okay? So they have already said that this is a 5' to 3' polarity. So 5', 3', 5', 3', 5', 3', 5', 3', 5', 3'. Now you just have to see that 5' of 1 should coincide or should overlap with 3 prime of someone else. ठीक है? Okay, clear? So this GG can coincide with 3 prime of no one's, but this GG can coincide with the 5 prime of someone's, 5 prime of this one. This is ending with GG, this is ending with this is starting with GG. So GGG and GGG. So if one is the first one, then it is followed by fourth. Okay? So this GGG, then this GG. Now the 3 prime end of this CGT should coincide with 5 prime of someone's. CGT, 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 you can see here. अच्छा CCGT है ना, तो CCGT, CCGT, हाँ, तो second, it is coinciding with second. ठीक है, now CCGT here, the 3 prime will be CCTT. Now try to see that 3 prime CCTT is coinciding with someone CCTT. Correct, CCTT. So 3. Likewise, you have to calculate. So 1, 4, 2, 3 something. 1, 4, 2, 3 something. Bas, you have got your answer. Just the thing that you need to pay attention is that your overlaps or your overhangs should coincide or overlap with each other. Okay, let's move ahead. Next, they are in this question they are saying that you must have known about lac operon. They are saying that in a lac operon, if the enzyme coding for beta galactosidase, which is lac Z, is replaced by a gene coding for T7 RNA polymerase, okay, and the gene lac Z coding for beta galactosidase, it is inserted in a plasmid under a promoter of T7 RNA polymerase, then which one of the following can be the correct answer? And one thing that they have given us is that lactose, beta galactosidase can break lactose into glucose and galactose, but beta galactosidase can break X-gol also. It can break X-gol also. It can break X-gol also. And when it breaks X-gol beta galactosidase, then it gives blue color. Then it will give blue color. Okay. So now they are saying, one more thing that they have mentioned in this question, that there is a factor which is known as Y, and it is produced in a cell which is something analogous to a repressor. Okay. So when this Y binds to the operator, it blocks the activity of T7 RNA polymerase. Okay. Now let's see the answer. They are saying that in the presence of both X-gol and lactose, but in the absence of factor Y, colonies will appear blue. This is absolutely correct. Why? Because if X-gol is present and this Y is absent, so Y is absent, it means that T7 RNA polymerase will be synthesized. Okay, because presence of Y was blocking synthesis of T7 RNA polymerase. Okay, and once T7 RNA polymerase is synthesized, then it will bind to the promoter, that is T7, that is the promoter of T7 RNA polymerase, and that promoter is followed by beta galactosidase gene lac Z. And once this T7 RNA polymerase transcribes this lac Z, then beta galactosidase will be produced. Once beta galactosidase is produced, then X-gol will be broken down. And once X-gol is broken down, then it will appear blue. Then it will appear blue. And hence it will appear blue. That is the correct answer. Okay, let's move ahead. Now this was a question which you can say that was an out of syllabus question, but still it is a simple question. Psi W is equal to psi S plus psi P. You just need to know this formula, and they are saying that there are two plants which are potted into in two separate pots, ठीक है, x and y. X, they are saying that x is completely wilted. X is completely wilted. X is completely wilted. और y जो है, it is firm, upright and firm. So once something is wilted, then its psi s is more and more negative, psi w is more and more negative, or it can be 0 also, and psi p is 0. Okay, and if it is firm, then it means that psi s can be 0, can be negative. ठीक है, psi s can be 0 or negative. Psi w should be either 0 or positive, and psi p should be either 0 or positive. Okay, and you can see that the pressure potential is 0 here, which is the case, is positive here. ठीक है, psi s is negative, psi s is negative, psi w is negative here because it is because it is wilted, and psi w is 0 here because it is firm. So that's why this is the correct answer. Okay, none of the other answers are matching. Okay, let's move ahead. Now in the next question they are saying, again one of the questions that can be set to an out of syllabus question. Let's see, they are saying that the stem, it grows in a certain pattern from center to the outward part, outward growth. Okay, stem is growing outwardly. Okay, now they are saying that a researcher, he stained the stem, the growing stem, by fluoroglycinol that specifically stains lignified tissue. Then they are asking that which part among these P, Q, R will be stained. We know that lignin is highly present in dead and mechanical tissues, and the dead and mechanical tissue is present in heartwood, in the center of heartwood. ठीक है, and it contains xylem, old xylems. So that's why the part which is present at the center will be stained because it contains lignin, and that part is Q only. That part is Q only. Okay, clear? Next they are saying that they have given us 4 pedigree chart, and which among these pedigree chart can be autosomal recessive, can be sex-linked recessive. So for sex-linked recessive we have to see a specific pattern. Okay, like sex-linked recessive or X-linked recessive disorders are transmitted from male to female to male. ठीक है, they show criss-cross inheritance. Let's see. तो female to male, ठीक है, female to male. If both are affected, then all are affected. If none are affected, then also someone can be affected, and that is a boy. So it can be example of X-linked recessive. ठीक है, clear? So female to male, but female to female also, it can't be X-linked recessive. Male to male, not X-linked recessive. Male to female, male to female. Okay, female to male. This can also be X-linked recessive. This can also be X-linked recessive. So 1 or 4 can be X-linked recessive. Okay, next let's see autosomal recessive. Autosomal recessive is transferred in a manner in which if none of the parents are affected, then also child can be affected. Okay, if one is affected, then child can be affected. If both are affected, then all childs are affected. So this can be autosomal recessive, this can be autosomal recessive. Okay, one affected, child affected, one affected, child affected, one affected, child affected. This can also be autosomal recessive. Okay, now one affected, child's affected. 1 affected, child's affected. Both affected, no child's affected. 3 can't be the answer. 3 cannot be autosomal recessive. Okay, so just cut the option in which 3 is mentioned. 3 cut down. Okay. Now, fourth one, both affected, 1 affected, child's affected, 1 affected, child's affected. So it can be also an example of autosomal recessive. Okay, so you have to judge the most appropriate answer. Clear? So X-linked recessive can be 1 and 4. 1 and 4. So here they have written 2. So that cannot be the correct answer. So 2 is gone. So 4 and 1. This is the only remaining option. So you can solve this question by deduction method. Okay, you can eliminate other options and get to the right answer. Okay, let's move ahead. Now they are saying that a pure breeding variety of plants were bred to see one character, inheritance of one character, in which pure breeding purple flower was crossed with pure breeding white flower, and in the F1 type they got all violet flower. Okay? It means that it's an example of incomplete dominance, and for incomplete dominance the F2 generation always shows a ratio of 1:2:1, either phenotypic or genotypic. Okay, so the amount of violet flowers will be double that of purple or white, and that is what option A is saying. Twice the number of progeny plants would bear violet fruits as compared to purple fruits. Correct. And twice the ratio of purple to white. Clear? Okay. Next they are saying that there was one scientist known as Nicholas Tinbergen who did an experiment to check that wasp, it learns to locate the nest by visual cues. Okay, so he was studying that wasps, that is an insect, it locates its nest or its home by visual cues, or visual cues that are, or the things that are present near the environment. Okay, in the near environment, near their nest. Okay, so now in order to check this hypothesis, he actually did what? There was a nest of a wasp and he placed cones of gymnosperms in a circular manner surrounding the nest. Okay, and once wasp flew away, he did what? He actually took these cones and put it somewhere else, not near the nest. So when the wasp will come, he will do what? Or he will go where? He can go either here or here. Okay, if he is following this hypothesis, then he will try to locate the nest by visual cues, and the visual cues will be the surrounding, the cones. So he will go near the cone, not near the nest, because he is using visual cues. Okay, so that's what the answer is. The wasp looks for the nest entrance at the center of the pine cone, not where it is actually located. Okay, so that's what the answer is. Next they have given some characters and some species, 5 characters for 5 species, and they are saying that using this chart, plot an evolutionary tree. So you have to start with all the characters. The species P, it possesses all the characters, that is this one. Then one less character, which is O. Then one less again, which is Q. Then one less again, which is M. Then one less again, which is N. So it is going from here to here. Okay? From highest all the character to none of the character, or to one of the character only. So that's why this is correct. And now you can be confused that bhaiya, this can be also the correct answer, but Yes, you are right. This can be the correct answer if it is rotated. Okay. So here P is the last one, but here P is the first one. P can't be the first one. P has all the characters. Okay, P has all the characters. So that's why P should be the last one, most evolved form, not the first form. Okay. So this is the correct answer. Next they are saying that a researcher, he was trying to study the presence of number of bristles in the abdomen of Drosophila melanogaster, that is fruit fly. And in order to check it, he bred or interbred Drosophila or fruit fly for 35 generations. And after 35 generations, he saw these plots. Okay. And now the question is saying that if the observed population is undergoing stabilizing selection, then which of the following statement is correct? Okay. So if stabilizing selection is undergoing, then we can say that the graph containing the average characteristic or the mean characteristics will be the most accurate graph for such kind of evolution, because it is containing the mean amount of bristles, mean number of bristles. Okay, so graph 2 or plot 2 is the most appropriate graph for the population undergoing stabilizing selection. That's what the answer is. At the end of the experiment, majority of the flies had an average of 40 abdominal bristles, and 40 abdominal bristles is present in plot number 2, which is an example of stabilizing graph. Okay, stabilizing evolution or stabilizing selection. Okay, next they have given certain data, and they are saying that, not data, they have given certain amount of statement, certain types of statement, and now they are saying that which of the statements, these statements, the sequence of these statements will look like what if stomata is closing, because if the period of darkness is there, then stomata will close, because in the night time or in the period of darkness, stomata tend to close. So stomata, closing of stomata is mediated by K plus efflux, K plus and chlorine efflux. So that's what you should look for. K plus and chlorine diffuses passively out of the cell. First statement should be this one. Okay, fifth, followed by uh, water potential becomes more and more negative. 3 can be here. 1 minute. Water is taken up by the cells. No, this can't be the thing. Water diffuses out of the cell by osmosis. 7th can be some statement that can be followed by after 5. Okay, stomata close will be the last one. 8th will be the last one. 8th will be the last one. So 9 wala will cut down. 8 will be there. Starting with 5, it is starting with 10. So this will also be cut down. 5, starting with 5, ending with 8. Starting with 5, ending with 8. I have already told you, stomata close. That will be the correct answer. So you don't need to see all the statements. You just need to see which one is the starting statement and which one is the ending statement. And that's where you can get your answer. Take care. This is the correct answer. Clear? Next, they are saying that a researcher was trying to study the effect of habitat fragmentation on bird species richness in tropical rainforest. Okay, now what should he do to study this thing? Simple, he should try to study that ecosystem by seeing the species richness in the sub part of that ecosystem. That is the only way he can see or get an idea of the effects of species richness, of the effect on species richness by habitat fragmentation, and he has to compare it with some control. He has to compare it with the initial species richness of that community, of that ecosystem. So he has to compare bird species richness in multiple patches of varying sizes of the entire tropical rainforest. So the ecosystem mentioned here in this question is tropical rainforest. ठीक है? Clear? Next they are saying that a particular herbivore species X was being studied. There are two populations of this species, one found in Sri Lanka, and the other in the Indian mainland, other in the Indian mainland. Okay, 5,000 years ago, species X had a variety of color. 5,000 years ago, species X had a variety of colors, and that color is blue, green, red, yellow. ठीक है? Species X of all four colors were equally prevalent in both locations 5,000 years ago. ठीक है? In the present day, but now in the present day time, Sri Lankan island, while species X of all these colors are still found, the majority of the population is green in color. In Sri Lanka, majority of them are green. Even if others are also found, then also some majority of them are green, but some are of different colors. Okay. Okay. If this change in population distribution is solely due to founder's effect, the statement most likely to be true is, देखो, founder's effect is a type of effect in which if you have different varieties of individuals in one population, okay, and one of those variety, it migrates to another area and becomes the founder of that population here in this new area, and that is known as founder effect. So here from this whole information you can clearly get an idea that even if green, blue, red, yellow, all types of birds are present, this green migrated to Sri Lanka in a more amount, in a much greater amount, and reproduced and increased in number. That's why Sri Lankan island now it contains lots of green birds. Okay, and that's what your answer should look like. Okay, let's see. A severe earthquake killed a large number of species X of all colors, after which the individuals that came in from Indian mainlands were predominantly green in color. Correct? So they are saying that there might have been an earthquake which killed lots of birds there of all sort of color, and after that earthquake, in order to get a more amicable environment, many birds of green color, they migrated to Sri Lankan island for proper survival. ठीक है? So that's what the answer should be, and that's what the answer is. Okay, so that's what your paper was, biology part of paper was, and I think that most of the questions were doable except some. Okay, some questions were not directly from your syllabus, they were little bit out of syllabus question, but you can't do anything in those questions. You can't say that you should get bonus marks if those questions belong to out of syllabus part, because even if something is not mentioned in your NCERT, then also we can't say that it is not in our syllabus, because directly or indirectly they are linked to what is being taught in the class. Okay, clear? And we also know that if it is out of syllabus, then none of the student would have been able to solve those questions. Okay, but yes, most of the questions were doable, and if you leave also those questions, one or two questions, then also if other questions are correct, then also you will get at least that amount of numbers that can give you admission and that can give you a top rank in the exams. Okay, so 18 questions will give you plenty of marks in the exam. Okay, Okay, so that's all from my side. Now, in the next 5 minutes, after next 5 minutes, you will be going through your physics part, okay, which will be solved by your jailer sir. Okay.
Hello. I hope my voice is clear and the video is also clear. No audio or video issues, right? Let me just check how the network is first of all. NISER sheet not out. Oh, is the response sheet out already? That was pretty quick, I would say. Most institutes don't function this fast. Yeah, if the response sheets are out, then if you're interested, you should immediately go and check your scores just to know what you should expect from the rank list, final rank list. So yeah, let us start discussing physics section now. The paper, I would say, it was so easy, I was disappointed. We made you solve so many mock tests, we gave you such interesting questions, difficult questions, to prepare you for anything that Nest could throw at you. And they decided to give questions like this. I mean, as I was looking at the paper when it first came out, I was laughing to myself that what even is this exam? I think there are two questions, only two questions that deserve to be in a Nest question paper. Rest all, I would say, for example, just like this first question, most questions in this exam are even easier than IIT level questions. Some questions were even easier than the questions in this year's IIT exam. So yeah, the next paper was very easy. I think an average student should be able to solve a minimum of 12 questions correctly. If you can't solve 12 questions correctly, then I don't think that your score would be up to the mark. The cutoff is definitely going to skyrocket this year, so be prepared for the worst. Check your response sheets for your marks, and let us quickly solve physics section. The first question says that we have two runners. Let's call them runner 1 and runner 2. Why is there a lag over here? Let me reduce the size. Yeah, so we have two runners and the time that they take for completing is given to us. They also said that they move with a constant speed. So we can calculate the average speed with which they are moving, which would be the speed throughout. So let us calculate the average speed. V1 will be the total distance, that is 100 meters, upon the total time taken, 9.784, and of course V2 will also be the total distance, 100 meters, upon the total time taken, 9.789. So there is a 0.005 second difference between them, that is 5 milliseconds difference between the two athletes. And we have been asked the distance between the two runners when the first athlete just crosses the finish line. So that means the first athlete has already covered 100 meters and the second athlete will cover this much distance. S2 should be its speed V2 into time taken by the first. This is T1, this is T2. So this is 100 upon 9.789 into 9.784. This will be the distance covered by the second athlete when the first has just crossed the finish line. All we need is to subtract them and the question is done. The distance between them, delta S, will just be S1 minus S2, that is 100. We can take common into 1 minus 9.784 upon 9.789, and this will be exactly 5 centimeter. Option A, we can see, matches. 15 out of the 20 questions were exactly of the same difficulty. You just have to apply one formula directly, substitute the values and you will easily get the answer. But the questions, as we move on, you will notice that they become messier and messier. That is, the calculations are not as straightforward as just subtracting two numbers. You will have to use a lot of calculator in order to solve most questions. Let us see. Second question says that we have 3 positive and 2 negative charges on a regular hexagon. So let us draw a regular hexagon first. This is how a regular hexagon looks like, and we know that a regular hexagon has each and every side equal and distance of each vertex from the center is also equal to the sides. All of these triangles are equilateral triangles with the same side. So let us place our 5 charges over here. It doesn't matter how they are placed. If this is positive, and this is positive, and this is negative. No matter how we place a charge, the potential due to a positive charge will be kq by r, which is the side of the hexagon, and each and every distance from vertex is the same as the side. And so the potential due to each positive charge will be kq by r. Potential due to each negative charge will be minus kq by r. We require the work done to bring a point negative charge from infinity to the center, which is basically the potential energy at the center. All you have to do is calculate the potential energy of the system at the center. Such an easy question is there. We can calculate the potential energy, that is 3 positive charges. So 3 into kq by r, of course with minus q because that is what we are bringing, plus twice of k into minus q upon r. That is it. Such a simple calculation. You will get minus of kq square upon r. Once again, option A is matching. Option A is correct in all the questions if you haven't noticed already. Such a simple question, just 2 steps. One step you have to draw the system, second step you have to calculate the potential energy, and the answer is done. All of the questions were exactly of this difficulty, and we will see which 2 questions deserve to actually be in this paper. Now over here we have been given a metallic cylinder, and we have to calculate the combination that has dimensions of time. Since it's a question of units and dimensions, we don't need to work with exact expressions. We are fine if we work with just proportionality. But in this question there is a trap that the examiners have set for you, and the trap is in these 3 words. They have given you a heat capacity, not the specific heat capacity. For heat capacity, the heat provided is simply heat capacity into change in temperature. But when we work with specific heat capacity, the heat provided is mass into specific heat capacity into change in temperature. Since we have been given heat capacity, we don't need to consider the mass in the heat expression at all. I am sure that half of the students giving in the exam have made this exact error and have gotten this wrong answer. Examiners were expecting you to make this mistake, and you can see the wrong answer is sitting right beside the correct answer. So you can just tick and happily take negative marks, walk out of the exam, and then come to the discussion and then cry about it that how could I miss such an obvious trap. Don't fall for these traps. Heat capacity is simply the heat provided per unit rise in temperature, no mass involved. So since we have been asked which of them will have dimensions of time, we can use the expression for heat current. Heat current for conduction is conductivity into area into temperature difference upon the length over which heat travels. Now we know that for a cylinder, area will be having the dimensions of length square. So if we take these dimensions, it will have dimensions of, let us see, dimensions of k, dimensions of length square, that is dimensions of r square, into dimensions of temperature upon dimensions of radius. 1 r and 1 r will cancel, and heat current has these dimensions. Now we can equate heat to again C into delta T, and since we need the dimensions of time, we can simply write these dimensions, that is k into r into delta T should have the same dimensions as the heat provided upon time, that is C into delta T upon change in time. The dimensions have to be equal because equation says so. Now we can cancel delta T and delta T, we can take time to the LHS, and we will get dimensions of time as dimensions of C upon k into r, option A. we can see is the correct answer, not option B. I'm sure half of the students have taken negative marking in this question because of this one silly mistake of not reading the question properly. Let us look at the next one. This question is also very straightforward. We have helium undergoing fusion to make a carbon atom. How does helium make carbon atom? 3 nuclei of helium-4 get combined and form one carbon 12 nucleus. Let me write it this way. And of course, some energy is liberated. What will be the liberated energy? It will simply be the difference in the energy, binding energies of products and reactants. So, energy liberated is simply binding energy of 3 helium-4 atoms minus the binding energy of a carbon 12 atom. That's it. We have been given the mass of each helium atom. So, the difference will be 3 times 4.0026. Let us stop over here. Atomic mass unit is U into C square. We are just using mass energy equivalence. Minus of mass of carbon is just 12. So, 12 times U into C square. Over here, you need to remember this one crucial fact, that atomic mass unit has an equivalent energy of 931 MeV. Approximately 931 MeV is the standard value of one atomic mass energy. So, multiplying 3 with the mass of helium, we get 12.008, approximately 12.008 minus of 12 into 931 MeV. That is, it should be less than 8 and more than 7. So, even without calculating, you can see that approximately 7.3 MeV will be the answer. Very, very easy question, very, very easy calculation also. You don't even need to complete this. You can approximate this and find the answer. So far we have solved, this is the 5th question, we'll see. We have been given a refraction phenomenon occurring, and the light is traveling from medium N1 to medium N2, bending towards the normal. So, we know that N2 is the denser, optically denser medium. That is, refractive index of N2 should be greater than refractive index of N1. Option B, we can clearly see that it is wrong. And the frequency of light does not change in reflection or refraction. So, option C is very, very wrong. Let us check option A now. Since refractive index is denser for N2, we can apply Snell's law and we get N1 into lambda 1 should be equal to N2 into lambda 2. Since N2 is greater than N1, lambda 1 should be greater than lambda 2. This will be option A, which is correct over here. Purely logical question, 10 seconds. 10 seconds is all you need to spend time over here. So, I would say within 1 minute, in the first minute of you looking at the test paper, you should have been able to solve 5 questions correctly. 1 minute, 5 questions, 15 marks. 15 marks you need to secure in 1 minute. This is the kind of question paper that NIST has asked this time. I don't know what will happen in the subsequent years. Is this gonna set the precedent of what can we expect out of NIST papers? I have no idea. Last year's NIST exam was very, very difficult. The questions were top quality, but I don't know if going forward NIST is gonna keep the level of question paper over here. I don't know what is happening, but these questions are very, very easy. Let's look at the next one. Again, pure logical question. We have been given a pendulum inside a lift, and the lift is moving downwards. Displacement is given to us as 3 into t square. If displacement is given to us, we can calculate the acceleration as simply second derivative of displacement. Very, very easy. 3t square function. You know acceleration is 6 meter per second square and it is moving downwards. So, let us apply downwards also. This is the lift. Lift is moving downwards with acceleration a, which is 6. a pendulum inside the lift, it has acceleration due to gravity downwards and a pseudo force upwards since it is opposite. G effective will be less than the actual acceleration due to gravity in the ground frame, and because of that, since time period is proportional to 1 upon effective gravity square root, time period will also increase because G effective is decreasing. Another purely logical question, another question that you need to solve in less than 10 seconds. You guys have been, if you have been even following our crash course for the past 3 months, you have solved so many questions, such high quality questions, that almost all of these questions you would just, even you should get disappointed in the quality of questions that have been given to you in NEST. Let's go forward. Yeah, this is one question that deserves to be in this paper, because this question is how ancient astronomers used to measure distances between heavenly bodies without a telescope. Purely by looking at the brightness of stars, astronomers have been measuring distances for, I would say, 1,000 years. This is how astronomy was carried out. You can say we have been observed that a star has a light dimming. A star has a light dimming periodically every 30 days, and we have been given that it is because of eclipses caused by a planet. So if this is a star and a planet is orbiting it, looking over here, we would see that the planet blocks our line of sight every 30 days. So that basically means that the time period of revolution of the planet is 30 days, and since the time period of Earth is 360 days, that is approximately 12 months, the time period of planet is 1/12 the time period of Earth. That is what information has been given to you. Since the eclipse happens every month, so 1 month is the time period of revolution of that particular planet, which is 1/12 times the time period of the Earth. If you start by observing this fact, then the calculations will be very, very easy for you. You can brute force this question and directly start applying the condition for centripetal force, angular momentum, everything like that. Your calculations will be very, very tough, and you would need to remember the value of the gravitational constant G, the value of mass of the sun, which we write like this. This is the symbol for the mass of the sun or solar mass. This O with a dot inside of it is the mathematical symbol which we use for sun in physics. And the radius of the Earth's orbit, all of these quantities, if you remember, then you can brute force this question. But I don't remember these quantities, so let me show you how to make calculations easier for yourself. You don't need to remember all of these 3 quantities. You do need to remember the value of the Earth's orbit though. Again, it is very, very easy. We know that light takes 8 minutes. 8 minutes is the time that the light takes to reach from sun to the Earth. We know this light takes 8 minutes. So what is the distance travelled by light in 8 minutes? Very, very easy. That will be the orbit of the Earth. Speed of light 3 into 10 power 8 into 8 minutes, and each minute has 60 seconds. So this is the orbit with which Earth revolves around the sun. You only need to remember this one fact. No other values are required. Let us see how to leverage this point. If we apply the condition for centripetal force on the Earth, we will get the gravitational force G into mass of sun into mass of Earth upon Earth's orbit square should be equal to centripetal force, that is mass of the Earth, into revolution of the Earth square into radius of the Earth again. Oh yeah, since the time period is 1/12 times the time period of Earth, we know that omega, angular velocity, is inversely proportional to time period. So omega for the planet will be 12 times omega of the Earth. Of course, since planet completes the orbit quicker, it should also be faster than the Earth, exactly 12 times faster. From this centripetal force condition, you will first of all get the value of g into mass of the sun upon radius of the earth cube. So not radius of the earth cube, omega of the earth square. Omega of the earth square will be equal to radius of orbit cube. This is just Kepler's third law in mathematics, second law in mathematical form. You can easily see over here. Now, if you don't do this, if you directly say that, okay, time period of the earth is 365 days, time period for the planet is 30 days, and if you simply satisfy the condition for centripetal force on the planet, you would need to remember all of these values, and calculations will be much tougher. But let us see how to use this fact to simplify our calculations. Now we can apply the condition for centripetal force on the planet. Gravitational force is g into mass of the star is 1.15 times mass of the sun into mass of planet upon radius of the planet square should be equal to mass of planet into omega of planet square into radius of the orbit. Now we can rewrite this as 1.15 mp and mp will get cancelled, g into mass of sun upon omega planet is simply 12 times omega of the earth square. We can take this on the LHS and we will get upon 144, that is 12 square into omega of the earth square, and on the RHS you will have radius of planet whole cube. This is what we are required. We know the value of gm upon omega e square, that is simply radius of the earth cube, and we have the value of radius of the earth also, 8 light minutes. Again, very simple fact. If you remember, you can write your equations smartly so as to reduce your calculations. Now if we simply take cube root on all of the sides, we will get radius of orbit of the planet will be equal to 1.15 upon 144 cube root raised to 1 by 3 into radius of the earth. We know radius of the earth, it is approximately 1 astronomical unit, we can say. And finally, this block will give you, if you approximate this block, it will give you 0.008 cube root, that is 0.2. 0.2, rest is just 1 astronomical unit, that is done. 0.2 is what you get at the end. So yeah, this question deserves to be in the next exam. This is one of the only 2 questions that deserves to be in the next exam, because you need to work smartly with equations to simplify your calculations. If you simply remember the value of g, mass of the sun, radius of the earth, even then you can solve this by brute forcing. But if you are like me and you don't remember any values, you just remember the fact that light takes 8 minutes to travel from earth to sun, you can do calculations like this, simplify this entire block to radius of the earth, and the calculations will be much more easier. This is the only next level question that is there. Let us check the other questions. Over here we have been given a bead that is placed in a wire which follows the equation like this, and for it to have a restoring force at the origin to oscillate, we need the condition that origin, that is x equal to 0, should be a point of stable equilibrium. Only if it is of stable equilibrium will the bead oscillate. If it is an unstable equilibrium, then the bead will fly off on opposite ends. So let us sketch all of these 4 options, y equal to a x raised to n, and see what kind of a curve we get. For option A, the value of a is 2.5 and n is equal to 4. So this will give us y is equal to 2.5 into x raised to 4. This is called a quartic function. X raised to 4 is called a quartic function. It has a similar shape as a quadratic function. Now if n is equal to 3, we get y is equal to same 2.5 x cube. This is a cubic function. For a value negative, y is equal to minus 2.5 into x square. This is a quadratic function which is downwards. And for the first is simply a parabola, y square is equal to 6.25, there is 2.5 square into x. This of course you know is a parabola, y square equal to 4x, you've learnt in maths. So sketching the function for option A, we get a curve like this, quartic function. Yeah, I'm drawing a very approximate figure over here. This is how it behaves. Of course, we can see that there is a stable equilibrium point over here. Sketching the function B, it's a cubic function. If you don't know how cubic functions behave, of course, you might have seen these functions somewhere. Cubic functions behave like this. This is how a cubic function are. We can see that if we release an object away from x, it will just keep going downwards and downwards over here. So this will obviously not oscillate. Option C is an inverted quadratic. So option C is something like this. This is how option C is. If we pull an object away from the origin, even a small distance, it will again keep falling downwards and downwards. So even this will not oscillate. Option D is of course a straight parabola, that is x-axis parabola. So we can sketch it like this. If we release an object from this side, we know it will fly off in this direction. And if we sketch an object over here, it will again move along the wire, right? So even this one will not oscillate at all. The only stable equilibrium we have is for this point. The object will keep oscillating back and forth around x equal to 0. So only option A is possible. You could see this even without sketching, if you simply know that the second derivative of y should be towards the origin always. But I would say, in order to be 100% sure, these are very simple functions. Roughly sketch them and you will see which of them have a stable equilibrium point. Very easy, 30 seconds max this question should take you. Now here we have an engine delivering constant power, and we have been given that it goes from 0 to 45 kilometers per hour in 1.5, that is simply 3/2 seconds. We need to calculate the time it takes to go from 0 to 90 degrees. Since it delivers a constant power, we can write the power as force into a velocity. Force we can write as mass into acceleration, that is dv by dt into v, and this should be a constant. This is a constant, right? So if we take mass on the RHS, we can rewrite our equation as v times dv should be equal to some constant times t, and integrating it we will get v square upon 2 should be equal to k into the total time taken. Sorry, dt is there, and we can integrate both sides. That is done. Now we can substitute the value of velocity and time to get the value of k for the first part. Velocity is 45 kilometers per hour, so 45 square upon 2 should be equal to k into time is 3/2, right? So from here we will get the value of k as 2 and 2 will get cancelled. It is 45 square upon 3. Now if we look at the second condition, we need to check time from 0 to 90. We know that from 0 to 90, 90 is simply 2 into 45 square upon 2 should be equal to k into t. We know the value of k is 45 square upon 3 into time will be multiplied. 45 square will get cancelled with this. One of the 2's will get cancelled with this 2 square, and we will get time as 2 into 3, 6 seconds. Very, very easy calculation, and you can clearly see that even this question is quite easy. Please challenge question. Question 18 from physics is challenged. Question 18, I don't know why question 18 should be challenged. Let us see. Let us see, should we challenge question 18 or not. I personally don't have any question that need to be challenged in physics. I know that in chemistry, one question has to be challenged. The Gibbs free energy question in chemistry has to be challenged. But I don't think in physics there is any challengeable question. This question we've been given one circuit with 3 loops over here, and we need to calculate the charge stored in C1 and C2. Now you might think that if you simply apply KVL in all of these 3 loops, you will get the value of charges, but that is not the case, because the voltage drops for a capacitor. Let us write down explicitly. Voltage drop across a capacitor is charge on the capacitor upon its capacitance. So for C1 it will be Q1 upon C1, for C2 it will be Q2 upon C2, which we cannot really solve from the currents. Even if you apply KVL in all of these 3 equations, you will not be able to get the value of charges. So we have no other choice than to one by one substitute all of the options and see. For the first option, if Q1 is 8 microcoulombs, then voltage drop across first capacitor V1 will be equal to Q1 by C, and since both the capacitance are 2 microfarads, the voltage drop will be 4 volts for C1, and for C2, if Q2 is 16, then voltage drop across the second capacitor will be 16 by 2, that is 8 volts. Now if voltage drop across this is 8 volts and across this is 4 volts, we know that this particular point is grounded, so this point should be at 0 voltage, and since this point is directly connected to this battery, it should be at 4 volts. The battery has 4 volts, right? So the potential difference between these 2 points by nodal analysis should be 4 volts, and since this has a 2 kilo ohm resistance, the current in this should also be 2 milliamperes. Only then will the voltage drop be this much. Now if this current is 2 milliamperes and the current on this branch also has to be 2 milliamperes, right? So now we can apply KVL over here. If let's say current in this branch is some I, current in this branch let's say is some I1, so this current will be I minus I1, because the current will split over here. Applying Kirchhoff's current law, the current will again split in this junction, and the current in this branch we can take to be I2 just for convenience, because S2, C2 all is there. So let us label this current as I2. Now the current in this central branch will be this minus of current of I1, that is I minus I1 minus I2. Let's call this I dash for simplicity. The current in the middle branch is I dash, right? Now if we apply KVL over here, we can see that 2 into I1, voltage difference over here will be straightforward 4 volt. So applying KVL over here, we will get 6 minus of 2I. Voltage drop is what? 4 volts, right? So 4 volt will be the voltage that will further drop from here, and again minus 2I1 should be equal to 0. This is the first equation between I and I1. Similarly, for I and I2, you can apply KVL over here and over here again. Along with these options checking, you have to apply KVL 3 times, and only then you will see that after solving for the currents, option A gives you the correct value of voltages. So yeah, I would say even this question deserves to be in next exam, and if you actually sit and solve for all of these three KVL equations, the calculation also becomes very, very lengthy. What a smart student will do is that a smart student will recognize that applying KVL 3 times, solving them, and on top of that, checking for each and every option becomes a very, very lengthy task. Examiner did not even intend for anyone to solve this question. It is better to just leave this question, not waste too much time on it, go further. If you have time at the end of the exam, you can come back and solve for everything. Again, there is not much theory, no concept that you can apply over here. All you need to do is simply write down the KVL equation for all of these three loops, check all the options one by one, see which voltage drop matches both the capacitors, and there you have the answer. So yeah, if I was given the paper, I would just leave this question while solving first time and then return back to it if I have time at the end of the exam. Let us check the next question. In this question, we have an electromagnetic wave and we have been given the value of electric field which is polarized along this vector, and the direction of propagation is also along this k vector, right? Now, since the polarization always has to be perpendicular to the direction of propagation, we can calculate the value of alpha from here. 2x cap plus alpha y cap dot product with 3x cap minus 2y cap plus z cap should be equal to 0. There is no z cap, so we don't need to consider it. The dot product becomes 2 into 3 minus 2 alpha should be equal to 0. From here we get the value of alpha is equal to 3. If the value of alpha is 3, then the amplitude of E, electric field, we get as E naught into the amplitude of this polarization vector also. So by Pythagoras theorem, we can see 2 square plus 3 square, that is 4 plus 9 is 13. E naught into root 13 is the amplitude of electric field. Simply dividing it by C, we get the amplitude of magnetic field. One more 10-second question. You just need to calculate the value of alpha given the direction of propagation, and the question is absolutely done. Very, very easy question. Again, disappointingly easy questions there in this paper. Now, in this question, we have been given a loop that carries some current I. We have not been given direction of current, but that doesn't matter also. For example, if we take the direction of current as anti-clockwise, this is current direction. By calculating the force, F is equal to current into L cross the magnetic field, right? L is in the direction of current and magnetic field is beta times Y into the Z direction. So magnetic field comes out of this, and the value of magnetic field depends on the value of Y also. Let us first check the direction of forces. Force is I into L cross B, length for the top wire is in this direction, B is outside, so force will be on positive Y direction. Similarly, since the current is in the negative X direction over here, magnetic field comes outside, so force will be below. Similarly, force will be outwards for both of these. Now, since the magnetic field varies with Y, the magnetic field will be different for each length element dl on the two vertical wires. But no matter what, both the forces will be equal and opposite and they cancel out. These forces are equal and opposite. So these forces cancel out, we don't need to worry about them. All we need to worry about are the two forces on the top and bottom wire respectively. The magnetic field over here will be beta into 2 times of A, and magnetic field over here will be beta into A simply. So the net force will be force on the top wire, that is current, into length is A into magnetic field is beta into 2a minus of current is I, length is a, magnetic field is beta into a, 2 beta a minus beta a will get cancelled, and beta into IA square will be the net force on the loop. Very, very easy question. Once again, the question would have been a little bit more interesting if the magnetic field depended on the value of x rather than the value of y. The magnetic forces will not get cancelled first of all, and they would neither get cancelled on the top and bottom directions also. No, I guess they would still get cancelled. So yeah, a interesting problem would be if the magnetic field depended on both x and y, but that is not the case over here. It is a very, very simple question. Let's look at the next one. Over here, we have been given a phase diagram, and again, this is a logical question. You need to apply logic a little bit harder than the rest of the logical questions, but checking options is also very, very easy over here. The first option says that liquid to vapor transition is not possible at STP. What is STP? STP is simply 273 kelvins, that is somewhere over here, and 1 atmosphere, that is somewhere over here. So at this point, this is STP. We can see that the state is very, very inside the vapor state. If the STP point was somewhere along this boundary, then it was possible to vaporize the liquid or to liquefy the vapor. But since STP is very, very inside the vapor phase, it is obviously not possible. Now the rest of the options are very, very easy except the option B. Option B says that if we take two blocks of the substance and press them together, if we take two blocks and press them together, they should coalesce and form a single block. Let us see how to think about this thing with the laws of physics that we have. Now suppose if we had two ice blocks, we know that if we press ice blocks together, they form a single block. You must have seen this. If you keep two ice cubes in the freezer, after some time they stick and form a single ice cube. Why is that? Because when we place two ice cubes simultaneously, some of the ice at the boundaries melts and there is a thin layer of water in between them. Thin layer of water is formed in between them. What happens is that as we press the ice cubes on either side, this water freezes and forms a layer of ice in between, hence sticking both of the blocks together. That means as we increase the pressure, if the ice is melting, only then will it be possible for them to freeze. And why is this possible? Because the phase diagram of water, if we see, water has a phase diagram something like this. This is x and y axis. The bottom part is similar, it is like this, but the top part goes like this. This is the phase diagram of water. This is solid, this is liquid, and this is vapor, gaseous state. As we are increasing the pressure, we can see that the state becomes liquid at the same temperature. But if we increase the pressure over here, the solid is not getting liquefied. That means if we press two blocks of this substance together, increasing the pressure, they will remain solid. They will not melt in the middle and they will not get joined together also. So option B is also again wrong. This was the only difficult option over here. None of the options are matching rest of this. So only for the option B you required a little bit of thinking. You have to exert your brain a little bit and imagine how two blocks of ice get stuck together with reference to the phase diagram of water, but that is clearly not the case over here and two blocks will not solidify. Let us look at the next question. In this question, we have an ideal gas monatomic gas. As soon as you look at the word monatomic, you need to remember that gamma for monatomic gases is 5/3, right? And we've been given that if radius is compressed to half of its initial radius, then the final volume will be 1/8 of the initial volume, because volume is just proportional to cube root of radius. If radius is halved, then volume will be half cube, that is 1/8. And since it's an adiabatic process, we can calculate the final pressure also. Initial pressure into initial volume should be equal to final pressure into, sorry, PV raised to gamma, final volume raised to again gamma, which is 5/3. We can directly substitute gamma as 5/3 from here. Now since 8 is 2 cube, the final pressure and volume raised to 5/3 upon 2 raised to 5, that is simply 32. 2 raised to 5 is 32. 8 is 2 cube, so cube root of 8 will give us 2, raised to 5 will give us 32. So from here we have the final pressure as 32 times the initial pressure, and obviously final volume is also 818 times the initial volume. Now we need to check if the work done on the system is proportional to change in PV. For adiabatic process, we know that the work done, or at least the absolute value of work done, goes as nR into delta T upon gamma minus 1, right? We can write nR delta T as the total change in the product P into V. From the ideal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT. nR delta T is simply the change in PV. Now we know the value of gamma, we know final initial volumes also. If we calculate this, we get final PV is 32 times P into V upon 18 minus of P into V initial upon 5/3 minus 1 is simply 2/3. Sorry, not 18, it is 8. V by 8 is the final pressure. So from here we will get 3 times PV upon 2/3 is 9/2 times PV. So value of beta is obviously 9/2, and option A will match once again also. That's it. 2-step calculation and you will get the answer. Now this qualifies as a very good IIT level question, but a very easy NEST level question, I would say. Let's look at the next one. In this question, we have been given a lot of theory, Parker, solar probe, everything, but that is all not at all important. What is important is that we have been given it absorbs 650 kilowatt per meter square, intensity of light, emissivity and area are both 1. We don't need to worry about them at all. So the schematic diagram for the probe will be something like this. This is the probe. It will absorb some heat, I into A square will be the power absorbed. It will also emit, since it's a black body, it will emit some heat as sigma into area into temperature to the power 4, right? Rest of the heat will get accumulated and it will result in heating of the heat shield or solar probe, whatever. Now the heat that is accumulated has to be balanced by the cooling system. The cooling system has to provide some energy to it. Power provided by the cooling system should balance all of this difference, right? So basically what you have been asked is the difference between heat absorbed and the heat emitted. That is all is absorbed over here, and you have been given the question which is worded in such a way that you would get confused as to what exactly is being asked. But simply you need to find the difference between heat absorbed and heat emitted. So the required heat to be provided should be equal to I into A square minus sigma into A T power 4. Area is simply 1, intensity is 650, minus of value of sigma you need approximately 6 into 10 power minus 8, and T value is 1500 Kelvin to the power 4. That's it. So 00 will get 8 and 10 raised to power minus 8 will get cancelled from here. All you need to do is now substitute values and you will get answer A. You have been given calculator, you can easily do this calculation also. Another very easy question but worded in a slightly twisted way. Now this is the most obvious question. If you have a PN junction which was initially in forward bias and then you put it in reverse bias, what happens to it? Obviously option A, we know depletion layer increases, barrier potential also increases, so option B is wrong. Current decreases, current does not enhance, current decreases significantly in reverse bias. Electric field will not change sign because electric field is only dependent on the migration of charges from the P side. The positive charge migrate to the N side and from the N side the negative charges migrate to the P side. That does not get disturbed by reversing the biasing potential. The only thing that happens is that the value of electric field might increase or decrease, but the electric field will not change sign depending on bias. Electric field sign or direction does not depend on the biasing potential, it only depends on migration of charge carriers. So option D is wrong, only option A is correct. Very obvious, I mean, these are just 4 lines from NCERT textbook. Nothing else is there in this question. Very easy. Let's look at the next question. Over here, we have a monochromatic light from a discharge tube such that the work function is given to us and the stopping potential of electrons are also given to us. From here, we can calculate the incident energy of the light. Incident energy of the light E lambda minus of work function should be equal to the stopping potential. That's it. We know stopping potential, we know work function. So incident intensity or energy is just their addition, 5.65 plus 6.45, which is 12.1, right? 12.1 electron volts is the energy. Am I making a mistake? 6.45, they are not 5, 6.45. So yeah, I am right. 6.45. So 12.1 electron volts will be the difference. Now, since we have been asked if this is due to the transition, we know the energy levels of hydrogen atoms. The ground state N is equal to 1 has energy 13.6 electron volts. N is equal to 2 has energy 3.4 electron volts, simply divide by 4, and N is equal to 3 has energy approximately 1.5 electron volts, right? Simply divide 13.6 by 9. In order to have difference as 12.1, it is very obvious that an transition from N is equal to 3 to N is equal to 1 should be possible, because 13.6 minus 1.5 gives us the energy difference of 12.1. So it is a transition from N is equal to 3 to N is equal to 1. Option B and C both are wrong. Let us check option A now. We know from Bohr's quantization that angular momentum is quantized as principal quantum number into h upon 2 pi. That is, the change in angular momentum should be equal to change in n into h upon 2 pi. N goes from 3 to 1, so that is 3 minus 2 into h upon 2 pi, simply h by pi. Hence option A is again correct over here. This is also a very good IIT level question, but a very easy NEST level question. Let us check question number 18 over here. We have been given a resonance tube that is half meter in length. It is open at both ends and has a hole in the middle. We know that whenever in a resonance tube whichever point is in contact with the atmosphere, whichever point is in contact with the atmosphere, it should have a pressure node over there. A pressure node must be present. Why? Because the pressure at that point will be equalized by the atmospheric pressure. I have made this a very, very important point in our classes, even in the crash course. If any of you have been following our crash course in our app, then you would know that whichever point is in contact with the air should have minimum pressure at that point, that is atmospheric pressure. It should be a node. So if we sketch this resonance tube, one of the ends is open to atmosphere, other end is also open to atmosphere. That means at both of these ends we should have a pressure node, and at the midpoint, if there is a hole, this is also open to atmosphere, so there should be a pressure node at this point also. So in the fundamental frequency or fundamental note, we should have a total of 3 pressure nodes. So if we sketch the value of fundamental frequency, then our wave should be something like this. I am drawing the pressure wave. You can also draw the displacement wave. In the displacement wave, open ends should have displacement antinodes and the middle ends should have displacement nodes. The pressure wave will look something like this. If you sketch the second harmonic or the first overtone, let me sketch in green color. The first overtone will look something like this. It should have one node over here, one node over here, one node over here, and 2 more nodes at the midpoints. This is how it should look like. Let me try for a darker color. Yeah, this is a darker color. So the fundamental note is like this. It has one node in the center. The first overtone will be something like this. And standing wave we can complete as such. This will be the first overtone or the second harmonic. The first harmonic or the fundamental frequency we have sketched like this. So let us equate. First note has a full wavelength lambda equal to L, right? So we can use V is equal to F lambda, and lambda will be V by F. So velocity upon frequency will be equal to length. So the value of first harmonic or the fundamental note should be V upon L, that is 330 upon 0.5, that is 660 hertz. And also the second harmonic we can see over here. It has how many wavelengths? This is one wavelength and this is 2 wavelengths. So for the second harmonic, 2 times lambda should be equal to length of tube. So that means V upon the second frequency twice should be equal to the length. So the second frequency will be given by 2 into 330 upon 0.5, that is 1320 hertz, simply twice of the fundamental frequency. Similarly, the third harmonic will be 3 times the fundamental frequency, that is 1980. So we can see option A matches here also. I am sure that not just 50%, 90% of the students completely ignored the fact that there is a hole in the middle. If there is a hole in the middle, there should be a pressure node over here. Whoever is saying that this question needs to be challenged has completely ignored the fact that if there is a hole in the middle, there should be a pressure node in the middle also. If you consider pressure node in the middle, the fundamental frequency has one complete wavelength in the entire tube, hence the frequency has to be 660. This is another question that is a very, very good IIT level question, but a very, very easy NEST level question. Rest are even easier than this. This question we have been given simply 4 slabs. Light is incident with theta in the first N1, If we sketch the fact that it bends away from normal in all of the three, we can see that light will bend away and it will eventually leave as grazing emergence. Let us say that the angle in the second is theta 2, angle in the third index is theta 3, so on and so forth. If we simply apply Snell's law in all of the three interfaces, since the theta 4 angle is 90 degrees, it is critical incidence. So n4 should be equal to n3 times sine of theta 3. So we get the value of sine theta 3 from here as n4 upon n3, which is expected because n3 is a critical angle. So sine theta 3 is simply n4 upon n3. Similarly, if we apply Snell's law on 2 and 3 interface, we have n3 into sine theta 3 should be equal to n2 into sine theta 2. From here, we will get the value of sine theta 1, so theta 2. Sine theta 3 is simply n4 upon n3. Multiplying by n3, only n4 will remain. So theta 2 will be n4 upon n2. Similarly, if we apply Snell's law over here, we get n1 into sine theta 1 should be equal to n2 into sine theta 2, which we know as n4 upon n2. So sine of theta should be equal to n2 into n4 upon n2 into 1 upon n1, that is simply n4 upon n1. Option A is once again matching over here. That's it. All you have to do is apply Snell's law 3 times and you will get the answer. Very, very easy question. Doesn't deserve to be in the next exam, I would say. Next question, again over here also you have to do 3 calculations just like the previous question. Same formula, if you apply directly 3 times, you are getting the answer. Same is the case for this question also. We have been given the energy of earthquake related to its magnitude. R is the magnitude and E is the energy. So if we calculate the value of energy, we have R is equal to A log E by E naught. So if we get rid of the log function by raising it to the value of 10, we have R by A is equal to log of E upon E naught. We get the value of E from here as E naught into 10 power R by A. We are simply raising the whole equation to the power of 10 to get rid of the log function. That's all. All I have to do now is calculate the value of energies for different magnitudes 5, 6 and 7. Energy for magnitude 5 will simply be E naught into 10 times 5 by A. Energy of magnitude 6 will be E naught 10 to power 6 by A. Energy for magnitude 7 will also be E naught into 10 power 7 by A. You have been given that of magnitude 6 earthquake is 31 times more energetic than magnitude 5 earthquake. So if we take the ratio of these two, we should get 31 should be equal to 10 power 6 by A upon 10 power 5 by A. Simply divide the powers and that is 10 power 1 by A. So that means you get the value of 1 by A as simply log to base 10 of 31. Substitute is over here. We need the value of the ratio for R is equal to 7 and R equal to 5. So energy for 7th earthquake upon energy of 5th earthquake will simply be 10 power 7 by A upon 10 power 5 by A, that is 10 power 2 by A, that is 10 power 2 by A is log of 31 square, log base 10, 31 square. So magnitude is 31 square since 10 log base 10, which is approximately 100. So once again option, 1000. 31 square is 1000. So option A is once again matching over here. Such easy questions you've been given. Once again, I told you, I am disappointed with this paper. I don't know why NEST chose to give these kind of questions. I don't know if forthcoming years will also have this level of questions. it can go either way. NEST can either have 2026 to be much more difficult or the same level as this much. Only time will tell. But this year we can safely say that the cutoff is going to increase drastically from last time. So you need to be prepared. You cannot follow the previous year's cutoff. Only time will tell. We will shortly be releasing a form in which you guys have to fill up your expected marks, and now that it's out. Okay, so the form is already out. Please fill it as soon as possible. The response sheets are also out. So calculate whatever marks you are getting, fill them in the form. Only then will we be able to even estimate what kind of cutoffs will be there. I am not an astrologer, I am not a Jyotish. I cannot tell what will be the cutoff unless and until we have data, right? So the faster you guys fill the form, the faster we'll be able to use our data analysis and approximate what will be the cutoff. So the form is now out. Check your response sheets, fill up the form, and I guess in 1 or 2 days we will be able to estimate what might be the cutoff this year. So that was the physics paper. Now let us wait 5 minutes and we will discuss maths paper also.
हेलो हेलो रुक जा, तो पहले बोलना है हेलो एम आई ऑडिबल, आफ्टर दैट आई विल स्टार्ट। एक मिनट, माइक कहाँ है, ये रहा। सो हाउ इज़ योर पेपर, एक बार रुक जाओ, स्टार्टिंग की टैगलाइन हाउ इज़ योर पेपर। सो एज आई हैव सीन द पेपर, द मैथमेटिक्स लेवल was easy to moderate type, not so lengthy and not so difficult. Okay, let's start. Yeah, am I audible? Yeah, am I audible or visible? Please tell us in the comment section, am I audible? Okay, so how's your exam of mainly mathematics section? So how's your exam? So as I have seen the paper, so the difficulty level of mathematics is easy to moderate, not so tough and not so calculative also. So let's start the discussion of mathematics NASH 2025. So first question is this. So if theta not equal to 2n plus 1 pi by 2, consider the following system of two equation of variable x and y, x cos theta plus y sec theta equal to 0 and x sin theta plus y tan theta equal to 0. Now these two equation does not have a unique solution. These two equation does not have a unique solution. Then we have to find the value of theta. Alright. So this is a homogeneous equation in two variable, linear homogeneous equation in two variables. So this equation must have a solution 0, 0. Because as we put 0, 0 in this, then we will get an answer, and this is a solution. Origin is a solution of this equation. But in this problem, we have to find does not have a unique solution. So if this equation does not have a unique solution, that means this equation have an infinite solution. For infinite solution, these two lines must be parallel. So these two lines must be parallel. That means coefficient, if ax, let us suppose the coefficient of x is a and the coefficient of y is b, ax plus by equal to 0 and cx plus dy. These two lines are parallel if and only if a by c equal to b by d. That means coefficient of the ratio of coefficient of x is equal to the ratio of coefficient of y. So let's equate them. So the coefficient of x is cos theta and the coefficient of x in line 2 is sin theta, that's equal to sec theta upon tan theta. Alright. Okay, so let's cross multiply. So tan theta into cos theta and sec theta we know that 1 upon cos theta and sin theta is this. Alright. So tan theta cos theta equal to tan theta. So tan theta take it as a common, so we will get tan theta cos theta minus 1 equal to 0. So we will get either tan theta equal to 0 or cos theta equal to 1. So we will get two solutions, either tan theta equal to 0 or cos theta equal to 1. So if tan theta equal to 0, then we will get the value of theta is n pi, or if cos theta equal to 0, then we will get the value of theta equal to 2n pi and n belongs to integer. So in this case, either theta equal to n pi or theta equal to 2n pi. Let us suppose this is set A and this is set B. So we will easily union this because either and or. So in case of either and or, we will union of this. So we will get theta equal to n pi and n belongs to integer. So our option A will be the correct option. This is a easy problem of system of two linear equation. Okay, so option A will be the correct option. Alright, chali. So let's move on the second question. Let S be the set of all rational number R such that R equal to P by Q with P and Q belongs to integer, where Q is not equal to 0, then the two solutions of this quadratic equation are equal. That means if two solutions of this quadratic equation are equal, that means discriminant must be equal to 0. That means the value of D equal to 0, where D is b square minus 4ac. So the value of b square minus 4ac must be equal to 0. So let's equate this. So a quadratic equation is x square plus 2px plus q square is equal to 0. So wait a minute. Yeah. So the value of D is equal to 0. That means 2p square minus 4 into 1 into q square equal to 0. So 4p square is equal to 4q square, or so 4 is cancelled by 4. So the we get the value of p is either plus q or minus q. So we'll get the value of p is plus minus q. Alright. So we'll get the value of p is either plus q or minus q. And now we have to find the value of set S, and set S contained or rational is such that P are or rational which satisfy this quadratic equation. Alright. So, let us see this. Okay. So P equal to plus minus q, and the value of R is P by q, and we know that the value of P is either plus q or minus q. So the value of R is q by q or minus q by q. So we'll get the value of R is either plus 1 or minus 1. So the value of rational is plus 1 minus 1. So the element of in set S is either plus 1 or minus 1. So the number of element in set S is only 2. So the option A will be the correct option. Alright. So let's move the third question. The value of the integral x sin square x square dx. So when we see the sin square x square, this is a very tough term. So let's substitute x square via t. So let us substitute x square equal to t. Now check the limit when x equal to 0, then x square equal to t also equal to 0. When x equal to root pi, then the value of x square is pi, is t, and this is equal to pi, and x square equal to t, that means x dx must be equal to dt by 2. So let's substitute in this expression. So the limit is going 0 to pi, and x dx is nothing but equal to dt by 2, and this is sin square t. Alright. Now let's apply property 6 or 0 to 2a property. So I'll apply this property 0 to 2a fx dx is nothing but equal to 0 to a fx plus 0 to a f2a minus x dx. Alright. So if we are applying this property, so sin pi minus x is sin x. So this will equal to 0 to pi by 2 sin square t dt by 2, 1 by 2 take it as a common, sin square t dt plus 0 to pi by 2 sin square pi minus t dt. Alright. And sin pi minus theta is nothing but equal to sin theta. So this equation is also sin square t dt. So let's equate them. So 2 by 2, 0 to pi by 2 sin square t dt. Now after this we have to use Wallis formula. What is the Wallis formula? So Wallis formula is nothing but 0 to pi by 2 sin power n t dt is nothing but equal to n minus 1 n minus 2 dot 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 upon n minus n into n minus 2 dot 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 into p. The value of p is 1 when n is odd, and the value of p is even when n is pi by 2. Sorry, value of p is pi by 2 when n is even. So for n even, the value of p is pi by 2. So let's apply Wallis formula. So n minus 1, that means 2 minus 1, 1 upon 2. After that, the value of p will be even, and the value of n is even. So multiply by pi by 2. So we'll get the answer pi by 4. So the option A will be the correct option for this. This is a very simple question, and now we have to use only the concept Wallis formula and property 6 and the substitution method. We have to apply 3 concepts in this question. Okay. So let's go ahead with the new question. This is a question of 50 important question, as you know, as you solve this. Shyam Bhaiya teach this question. Okay. So let's solve this. So let us define fractional part x. This is a notation of fractional part x minus box x for any arbitrary real number xy belongs to positive real. This is only for positive real. Okay. So now we have to solve this. So let us assume x equal to 1 by 2, x equal to 1 by 2 and y equal to 1 by 2. Alright. Now we have to calculate fractional part of x plus y. So fractional part of x plus y is nothing but equal to 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. That's equal to fractional part of 1, and the value of fractional part of 1 is 0. Alright. Now fractional part of x plus fractional part of y. So fractional part of 1 by 2 and fractional part of 1 by 2. That's equal to 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2, and that's equal to 1. Alright. So In this question, fractional part of x plus y greater than, not greater than, 0 is not greater than 1. So, this option is discard. Not equal to, because 0 not equal to 0 equal to not equal to 1, 0 is not equal to 1. So, this also option is correct. For D option, if we take x equal to 1 and y equal to 2, that means x and y, if x and y are integer, then this is true. Fractional part of x plus y equal to fractional part of x plus fractional part of y for x and y belongs to integer. So, this is only true for integers. So, we can write only true for x, y belongs to integer. Alright. So, 3 options are discarded. So, the correct option will be option A. And let us see with another example. So, let us take x equal to 1 by 2 and the value of y is 3 by 4. So, the value of fractional part of x plus y is nothing but equal to 1 by 2 plus 3 by 4, or you can say that 5 by 4, fractional part of 5 by 4, and the fractional part of 5 by 4 is nothing but equal to 1 by 4. Now, fractional part x plus fractional part y is 1 by 2 plus 3 by 4. So, the answer is 5 by 4. So, fractional part of x plus y is less than equal to fractional part x plus fractional part y, as you can see in this example. So, option A will be the correct option for this. Alright. So, let us go ahead, question number 5, and L1, L2 are the two lines in the 3-dimensional space. The line L1 is defined by this and the line L2 is this. Now, where alpha is a non-zero number, now L1 and L2 are mutually perpendicular. That means these are the line, this is, let us suppose this is L1 and this is L2. These are mutually perpendicular line. Now, we have to find the value of alpha. So, if L1, L2 are mutually perpendicular, that means the direction ratio dot product means 0. The direction ratio of L1 and the direction ratio of L2 and the dr L2 dot dr L1 must be equal to 0. So, dr of L1, that means direction ratio of line L1 is 3 to alpha and direction ratio of line L2 is minus 2 4 alpha 3. Now, dr L1 dot dr L2 equal to 0. So, 3 2 alpha dot minus 2 4 alpha comma 3, that's equal to 0. So, the value minus 6 plus 8 alpha plus 3 alpha equal to 0. So, the value of 11 alpha equal to 6. So, the value of alpha equal to 6 by 11. So, option A will be the correct option of this question. This is a very easy problem, look like board level problem, not even IIT level problem. So, this question must be correct if you attempt it. Okay. Okay, now alright, so let us move on the question number 6. This is a geometrical problem and basic class 10th level problem. If you deeply read this question, then you will easily solve it. So, let us read. A circle S1 with the center S1, okay, so this is a smaller circle center S1 and the radius R1, so okay, so the radius of this circle is R1, alright. A circle S2 with the center C2, okay, the biggest circle is denoted as S2 and the center is C2 and the radius of this circle is R2, okay, so the radius, let us suppose this is the radius, this is R2, okay, and given that R2 greater than 2R1, okay. Now, what we have to find the line segment C2T. What is C2T? This, okay. So, let us do some construction. So, let us assume this point is O and this point is P, okay. Now, what is the value of OC2? OC2 is nothing but a radius of bigger circle and this is equal to R2 and the value of OC1 is R1, alright, and C1T. C1T is R1 because it is a radius of a smaller circle. Now, can we calculate the value of C2, C1? Yeah, the value of OC2 is nothing but equal to C1, C2 plus OC1, alright. So, OC2 is R2, C1, C2, now we have to find the value of C1, C2 and OC1 is R1. So, the value of C1, C2 is nothing but R2 minus R1, alright. So, this is a value of C2, C1, C2. Now, let us see the triangle C2, T, C1. And this is a right angle triangle at T. At angle T is equal to 90 degree. So, this is a right angle triangle. So, let us apply the Pythagoras theorem. So, in triangle C2T C1, let us apply Pythagoras theorem. So C1 C2 is the hypotenuse, C1 C2 square is equal to C1 T square plus C2 T square. Alright. So C1 C2 that means R2 minus R1 square, and now we have to find the value of C1T is R1 square, and we have to find the value of C2T. So this is C2T square. So C2T square is equal to R2 minus R1 square minus R1 square. So the value of C2T is equal to root of R1 square plus R2 square minus 2R1 R2 minus R1 square. So this is cancelled by this. So we will get the value of C2T is R2 square minus 2R1 R2. So option A will be the correct option. This is a basic simple concept and simple construction, and we have to apply Pythagoras theorem. We will easily get the answer. Okay. So let's move on the question number 7th, and this is my class notes question. If you see my class note, this is maximum, and in this question we have to ask for minimum. So simple graph will be written. So now we have to find fx is minimum mod x comma x square, and now we have to check differentiability. Is this differentiable everywhere or not differentiable at some point? So let's draw the graph of mod x and x square. So the graph of mod x is, sorry, the graph of x square is this, and the graph of mod x is this type. Alright. Now we have to find the minimum. So for minimum, the graph will be this. This is a red type graph of minimum. This is a minimum graph, and after that this. Now we have to find the sharpest corner. So the sharpest corner only at 2 points, this point and this point. So this is a point x equal to 1, and this is a point x equal to minus 1. So this function is continuous everywhere but not differentiable at x equal to 1 and minus 1. So differentiable everywhere except x equal to 1 and minus 1. So this option will be the correct option for this. This is a simple question and very easy, a general class example. Okay. Okay, let's go with the new question. This is a complex question, and some student must be think about the complex, but this is a simple APGP problem, not a complex problem. This is a simple APGP. In this omega be the complex number, so given that omega power 5 equal to 1, now we have to find 1 plus omega power minus 1. So some student maybe think with binomial concept, because binomial with negative concept 1 plus x power minus 1, so 1 minus x plus x square minus x cube, this way. But in this formula we have to restrict mod x should be less than 1, but the value of mod omega is 1. So this formula is not valid for this. This formula is not valid. Some student apply this formula and get incorrect answer. So this formula is not valid for this. So how can we solve this? Simply by checking the option. So let's check option A. So 1 by 2, and this is a GP. With the GP with common ratio r equal to minus omega, and the total number of term is 5. Okay. So this is a GP with the r equal to, so first option, the value of r is minus omega and the total number of term is 5, and the value of A 1 by 2. So let's apply the formula of sum of first 5 term of GP. So A 1 minus r power n minus omega power 5 upon 1 minus of minus omega. Alright, and so this is equal to 1 by 2, 1 plus omega power 5, 1 plus omega, and the value of omega power 5 equal to 1, so 1 plus 1 equal to 2, so 2 by 2 into 1 plus omega. So this will be equal to 1 plus omega ka inverse, and this is our perfect answer. So this is answer. And in the second option, this is just 2 times of this, 1 minus omega plus omega square minus omega cube plus 2. So the value of this is nothing but 2 into 1 plus omega inverse. So this is incorrect. In this problem, the value of r is omega and the value of n is 5. So this is also incorrect. This is nothing but equal to 1 minus omega ka inverse. If you calculate it, this is nothing but 2 into 1 minus omega ka inverse. Simply you can do this. So the correct option will be this. This is simple geometric progression problem, not even complex number, not even binomial theorem. Okay. So let's go with this. This is a very good problem and very good problem, and the approach of this question, if you click in the exam, then you can easily do it, otherwise not. So K, L, M and R 3-digit number chosen randomly. So let us suppose the value of K is ABC and the value of L is PQR and the value of M is UVW. So these are our 3-digit number. Now we have to find the probability K plus L plus M divisible by 3. So if any number divisible by 3, then the remainder will be either 0 or 1 or 2. So let us suppose if I divide K by 3, so the remainder will be denoted by RK. So 0, 1, 2 and RL is also 0, 1, 2 and RK also 0, 1, 2, alright. And if K plus L plus M divided by 3, so there are possibility of K, the remainder is either 0, either 1, either 2. So there are 3 possibility. For L also 3 possibility, 0, 1, 2. Similarly for M, the possibility of remainder is 0, 1, 2, 1, 0, 2. So there are total 3 into 3 into 3 possibility. That means total number of possibilities are 3Q. Total possibility 3Q, that means 27. Now we have to find those numbers which are divisible by 3. So if the remainder, the sum of remainder is a multiple of 3, then these 3 numbers divisible by 3. So if the remainder will be the remainder of K if 0 and the remainder of L is also 0 and the remainder of M is also 0. So this number is divisible by 3. So this is a pair of RK, RL and RM. Alright. And if the remainder 1, 1, 1, then also divisible by 3. If the remainder is 2, 2, 2, then the sum of these 3 number is also divisible by 3. If the number is 0, 1, 2, then also divisible, because 0 plus 1 plus 2, 3 and the 3 is divisible by 3. So this is also divisible. Now we can arrange 0, 1, 2 in a 3 factorial way, because 3 factorial is equal to 6. So we can easily write 0, 2, 1, 1, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 0, 1 and 2, 1, 0. So we can easily write this term in arrangement by 3 factorial, that means 6. So 6 plus 3 equal to 9. So total our favorable cases, total favorable possibility or cases is 6 plus 3, that's equal to 9. So these are favorable cases are 9 and total cases are 27. So the probability will be favorable case upon total number of cases. So favorable case is 9, total number of cases is 27. So 9 upon 27, that means 1 upon 3 will be the final answer of this question. Okay. So the approach of this question will be kind of remainder type. Okay. Let's move forward. Fx equal to xq minus ax square plus bx plus c, where ABC are non-zero integers. Suppose that fa equal to 0, then the root of f are integer given, or root of f are integer if and only if. Okay. So given that all root of f are integer. Okay. So given that fa equal to 0, so if I put fa, then we'll get aq minus aq plus ba plus c equal to 0. So we'll get the value of b is minus c by a. But so minus c by a is the square of an integer? No, we can't comment. Minus c by a is an integer. We may say this, we can say this, minus c by a is an integer because b is integer. But we can't say this, minus c by a is a square of integer. So we can't comment. Then how can we solve this? And we know that x equal to a is a root. So if I divide x minus a with the full polynomial x cube minus ax square plus bx plus c, then the remainder will be 0 because this is a root. So let's divide it. So x square minus ax square, so this cancel out bx plus c. Now let's divide plus b. So this is equal to bx minus ac. Sorry, bx minus ab. So this, so ab plus c, and the remainder will be 0. So the value of b is minus c by a. All right, minus c by a. Now apply the division algorithm. So division algorithm say that x cube minus ax square plus bx plus c is nothing but equal to quotient into dividends plus remainder. So the value of this is x minus a into x square, and the value of b is minus c by a, minus c by a. Okay. So this equation can be written as in this form, or we can also written this x minus root c by a, x plus root c by a. Now let us think, if and given that the root of this equation is integer, so root c by a must be a square of any integer, otherwise this is not an integer. So root c by a must be an square of integer, that means c by a must be a square of an integer, that means then the root of this cubic equation must be the integer. So option A will be the correct option. Okay. So in this question we have to approach via class 10 divisibility or algorithm method, divisible algorithm method. Okay. So option A will be the correct option for this, and this is a very easy problem for the basic of quadratic equation. Okay. Now let's a and b are the two number such that limit x tending to 0, b minus cos x plus a cos 2x by x is exist. They are very simple problem. We are done with the class. Okay. So now we have to, if I put x equal to 0, so we'll get b minus 1 plus a, and this is must be equal to 0 to become a 0 by 0 form. So the value of a plus b must be equal to 1. So the final answer will be option A. Simple one liner question. Okay, so this is a very good question, and in this question there is an ambiguity, because in general we are assuming if there is a written log, then we have to assume log base 10, but in this question they are assuming log with base e. So this is a small ambiguity. So let's solve this. G 0 to infinity by a continuous function, gx is given as this. Now we have to find the value of g pi by 6. So let's differentiate this problem. So g dash x plus log 2 take it as a constant, and in this problem we have to apply Leibniz rule. So this is equal to gx cos x equal to 0, and let us suppose gx equal to y. So g dash x is nothing but equal to dy by dx minus log 2 y cos x. So dy by y minus log 2 cos x dx. Let's integrate. So this is equal to ln y equal to minus log 2. The integration of cos x is sin x. So sin x plus arbitrary constant c. Now we have to find the value of arbitrary constant c. So how can we find? If we apply if we find the value of z0, so the value of z0 is z0, 0 to 0 the integral will be 0. So the value of z0 is equal to 1. So for ln1, if we put x equal to 0, so this is ln1 and this is 0 plus c. So the value of ln is also 0. So arbitrary constant is equal to 0. So our function or our equation is ln y equal to minus log 2 sin x. Now we have to find the value of pi by 6. So ln y is equal to minus log 2, and the value of sin pi by 6 is 1 by 2. So this is ln y is equal to minus log 2 into 1 by 2. So this is also equal to ln y equal to log 2 की power minus 1 by 2. Alright. Now in the left hand side this given as ln, and the right hand side we have to assume ln, otherwise these two log can't be cancelled. So if I assume this log with base e, then we can cancel out this and we can easily get the answer 2 power minus 1 by 2, or you can say 1 upon root 2. So option A will be the correct option if we assuming the base of this log is e. Okay. So this is a small ambiguity in this question. So let's move forward, and this is a very easy problem. The next team we have to scared with this question because these k and this are so many big term, but this is a very easy kind of board level type problem if you know about periodic function and periodic property. So if you know the periodic property and we know that the period of cos x as sin x are 2 pi and this function is 2k pi to 2k pi plus 2, so we can easily write this 0 to pi by 2. So first step is this, if we apply periodic property. So cos power kx plus sin power kx dx. Alright. Let us assume this is I. I have to solve this and the value of this is I. Okay. Now apply property 4. Property 4 is a to b fx dx is equal to a to b f a plus b minus x, that means pi by 2 minus x, and cos pi by 2 minus x is sin power kx, and this is sin power kx plus cos power kx dx. Let's add those. So 2i equal to 0 to pi by 2 sin power kx cos power kx upon sin power kx plus cos power kx. Alright. So this is equal to 1 and the integration 0 to pi by 2, 1 dx is nothing but equal to pi by 2. So 2y is equal to pi by 2. So we will get the value of integral is pi by 4. So now we have to calculate summation k equal to 1 to 2025 pi by 4. And this value is independent of k. So we have to sum pi by 4 plus pi by 4 up to pi by 4 of 2025 times. So when we put k equal to 1, we will get pi 4. When we put k equal to 2, we will also get pi 4. So there is no change because this value is independent of k. So we will get the value of this summation is 2025 pi by 4. Okay. So the option A will be the correct option. This is a very easy problem, but you have to think this question. Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's move all the forward question. Similar question we are done in the class. So in this problem, an ellipse has the point 3, 2, 7, 2 as foci. The ellipse touches x-axis. Then we have to find the eccentricity. So let's draw the curve firstly. So this is y-axis, this is x-axis, and the focus is 3, 2 and 7, 2. So this is focus E 3, 2 and 7, 2, and given that this focus touches x-axis, so kind of this way, this focus touches x-axis, so kind of this way. So the center of this is 5, 2, so this is 2. So we'll give the value of P is 2 because it is semi-major axis. The value of B is 2 and the distance between focus is nothing but 2A. The value of 2A is 7 minus 3, that means equal to 4. So the value of AE is also equal to 2. So we'll have a 2 equation, and the third equation is the relation of eccentricity. E is equal to 1 minus B square by A square. Alright. So A square E square equal to A square minus B square. So A square E square is equal to 4 equal to A square, the value of B square is 4. So the value of A square is equal to 8. Let's apply this value in this equation. So we'll get E equal to 1 minus the value of B square is 4 and this 1 by 8. So 1 minus 1 by 2, that's equal to 1 by root 2, or you can say option A. So they are very easy problem. Alright. So let's go with the forward 15th question. This question is problem based on Venn diagram, set theory as well as probability or conditional probability also. So given that the probability x qualifying next exam is 1 by 10. So given that the probability of x, if x qualify exam is 1 by 10, alright. The probability x qualify exam next given that y qualify. So probability of x given y is 1 by 2. Sorry, 1 by 2. And probability of y qualify next given that x qualify is 1 by 4. Yani probability y given x is given that 1 by 4. Alright. Now what we have to find? We have to find probability X does not qualify next given that Y does not qualify. X complement Y complement. We have to find this one. Alright. So let's apply. Probability of X given Y is nothing but equal to probability of X intersection Y upon Py, that's equal to 1 by 2. And this is also equal to probability of X intersection Y upon Px is equal to 1 by 4. So the value of Px is 1 by 10. So probability of X intersection Y upon 1 by 10 is equal to 1 by 4. So we will get the answer probability of X intersection Y is 1 by 40. So the probability of X intersection Y is 1 by 40. Let's apply in this. So 1 by 40 into Py equal to 1 by 2, sorry 1 by 2. Alright. So the value of Py is equal to 1 by 20. Now let's draw the Venn diagram of this. So we have a Venn diagram, and this is our region X, this is our region Y, and the X intersection, the probability of X intersection Y is 1 by 40, and the probability of X is 1 by 10, or you can say 4 by 40. So this is the value 3 by 40. Probability of Y is 1 by 20, this is 1 by 40, so this is also equal to 1 by 40, 3 to 5. So this outside region is 35 by 40. Now what we have to find? Probability of this. So probability of X complement given that Y complement. So this is nothing but equal to probability of X complement intersection Y complement upon probability of Y complement. Alright. So via De Morgan now we can say that X complement intersection Y complement is nothing but equal to X union Y ka whole complement. So the value of X union Y is 5 by 40, and the complement of this is 35 by 40 and this region. So the value of this is 35 by 40, and the value of Y complement is, if the Y complement is universal set minus Y, so 35 plus 3, that means 38 by 40. So 40 will be cancelled out. So correct answer will be 35 by 38, or the option A will be the correct option for this. Alright. So let's move forward with the question number 16. So this is a very easy problem and thinkable problem. A right approach, in this question we have to apply a right approach. So let A and B are the set where A1, A2, A3 are the subset of A, where A1 union A2 union A3 is equal to A. So let us assume, and okay, and f A to be the functions for each I 1, 2, 3. Fi define Ai to be define by Fix equal to Ax. That means F1x equal to F2x equal to F3x equal to Fx. This is given for all i's x belongs to Ai. Okay. So if I take a 0 to 1 A union 1 to T union 2 to 3. If I assume the set is this, and this is our A1, this is our set A2, this is our set A3. Okay. And let us assume the set, the value of set B is singleton 1. So this is not injective. Why? Fa1 is 1, singleton 1, not injective. So not injective, that means not bijective. So option B and C are discarded, not bijective. So option B and C are wrong option. And in the last option, F is surjective for each this whenever F is surjective. So given this, if F is surjective, then Fi's are surjective. So let us take A equal to again 0 to 1 union 1 to 2 union 2 to 3. Okay. And this is our set, this is our 0 to 1, this is our 1 to 2, and this is our 2 to 3. Okay. Alright. And this is our set B, A, B, and the set B is 1, 2, 3. Alright. So this map to 1, this map to 2, and this map to 3. Alright. So kind of Fa1 is equal to singleton 1, Fa2 map to singleton 2, Fa3 map to singleton 3. So but Fa1 sorry, fx, or you can say fa is mapped to 1, 2, 3. So, fa is surjective, but fa1, fa2, fa3 is not surjective. So, this option is correct. In this question we have to say that f is surjective, but this implies fi's are surjective. This is wrong option, but in the first option given that fi's are surjective, so f is surjective. If fi's are surjective, so obviously fi is equal to fx, so fx is also surjective. This is an obvious type of problem, so option A will be the correct option. Okay, so let's go ahead. Question number 17. This is a problem on relation as well as equivalence class and logarithm also. So it's a multiple concept problem. So in this problem we have to ask m related to n if log m n are rational number. Okay, so given that is rational number, or you can say kind of PYQ form. So we can easily write via logarithmic property, or you can say that m equal to n power p by q, or m power q equal to n power p. Alright. So this is, and so the number of equivalence class is finite. This is not true, because the equivalence class of 2 is 2, 2 square, 2 power 3, 2 power 4, and there are so many infinite elements. Similarly, equivalent class of 3 is 3, 3 square, 3 power 4. So equivalence class of each prime number is different. So there are so many infinite prime numbers. So there are infinite equivalence class, so there are no finite equivalence class. So this option is wrong. All prime number are in the same equivalence class. No, if I will take a log 2 and log 3, so this is not rational even. So these are not in the same equivalence class. There exists an equivalence class with finitely element 1, not true, because if I take a equivalence class of general element A, so there are so many infinite element A square, AQ up to A. So this option is also false. For option A is correct. If we discard 3 options, the option A will be the correct. And how the option A is correct? M and N have a same number of distinct prime divisor. If M and N have prime divisor, so let us take an example and sorry. So 32 and the value of n is 64. Alright. So this is equal to log 32, 64. So this is equal to log 2 power 5, 2 power 6. So this is equal to 5 by 6. This is a rational number, that means these are in the same class, and the prime divisor of this and this only 2. So same number of prime divisors, so option A will be the correct option. Okay. So this is a very easy problem, kind of thinkable question. Okay. So let's go ahead. Question number 18. So as be the set of integers such that 1 to 1000, and n can be written as n equal to 3x plus 5 by. So n can be written as 3x plus 5 by. So let us draw a diagram. 3x plus 5 by equal to 0. So 3x plus 5 by equal to 0, kind of this. Okay. 3x plus 5 by equal to 1, kind of this. So this is a family of parallel line. 2, 3. Similarly, I draw 3x plus 5 by equal to 8. So this is a line 3x plus 5 by equal to 8. So 0.11, kind of this, at this point is when we put y equal to 0, so we will get 8 by 3 equal to 8 by 3 comma 0 and 0 comma 5 by 3. Alright. So when we go ahead, then we'll get also a point. If 3x plus 5 by equal to 9, then 3 comma 0. So we say that for n greater than equal to, for all n greater than equal to 8, n can be written as 3x plus 5 by format. Alright. So how many number? 1000 minus 8 plus 1, that means 993. So 993 is this option is correct. So 996 is correct option. Then how 996 is correct option? Now let us check 0 to 7. So 3x plus 5 by equal to 0, yes, solution. 0 comma 0 is a solution. For 3x plus 5 by equal to 1, there is no solution. Sorry, 1, no solution. 3x plus 5 by equal to 2, no solution. 3x plus 5 by equal to 3, yeah, this is a solution. 1 comma 0, this is a solution. 3x plus 5 by equal to 4, no solution. 3x plus 5 by equal to 5, yes, this is a solution 0, 1. 3x plus 5 by equal to 6, no solution. Similarly, for 3x plus 5 by equal to 7, no solution. So, total 3 solution 1, 2, 3. So, 993 plus 3, that is equal to 996 are total number of solutions. Okay. So, kind of family of parallel line question and very easy problem. Okay. So, let us go ahead. Problem 19. This is a very calculated problem and kind of moderate to tough level problem. So, in this problem, firstly we have to assume this is u. 2 minus t upon a is nothing but equal to u. So, now what is the limit? So, if t equal to a 2 minus a, sorry, 2 minus a, then the value of u is equal to 2 minus 2 plus a upon a. So, this is 1. If the value of t is 2 plus a, so the value is u is 2 minus a upon a. So, this is minus 1. Okay. Now, let us differentiate it. So, this is equal to minus dt upon a equal to du. So, this is equal to minus dt equal to a du. Okay. So, let us substitute this. Limit a tending to 0, 1 by a. This is equal to 1 to minus 1 when t equal to 2 minus a. Okay? Alright. And the value of t, now we have to find the value of t. So, the value is 2 minus t equal to au. So, the value of t is 2 minus au. So, cos square pi 2 minus au e power mod u, and the value of dt is minus a du, alright. For a is cancelled out by this and this minus replace the reverse the limit. So, limit a tending to 0, this is minus 1 to 1 cos square, cos 2 pi minus pi au is nothing but equal to pi au, because we know that the period of cos square x is pi. So, cos 2 pi minus theta is nothing but equal to cos theta. So, we can simply write is this and e power mod u du, alright. And now we have to apply property minus a to a fx dx. So, if fx is even function, then this is nothing but equal to 2 0 to a. So, minus a to a fx dx is equal to 0 to a to fx dx if and only if fx is even. Okay? So, our fx is even. Fx is even function, this is even function. You can simply check it, this is even. So, we can easily write this thing is limit a tending to 0 to 1 cos square pi au e power u du and e power mod u, and u is lies between 0 to 1. So, modulus can be removed. So, this is simply can be written as limit a tends to 0 to 1 cos square pi au e power u du, and the value of limit a tending to 0. So, this quantity will be cos 0 or you can say tending to 1. So, this is equal to 1. So, will our answer is 0 to 1 e power u du or 2 e power u 0 to 1. So, this is equal to 2 e minus 1. So, the final option of this question is option A, 2 into e minus 1. Okay. So, kind of some calculative problem or you can say moderate to tough, because we have to substitute 2 minus t upon a, then after that we have to apply property 4 and we have to solve limit also. Okay. Now, let us move the last question, and this is an ambiguous problem because the answer of this question is 26 upon root 6 26 or you can say root 26. But the correct given the correct answer this, so this is a wrong answer. Let us check it. So, in this problem given that the point A, point B, point C, point O, now we have to find the distance between line AB and OC. So, the position vector or you can say direction cosine of AB, dr of AB is 11 minus 1, that means 10 I cap minus 2 j cap plus 8 k cap. Now, dr of OC is 3 I cap plus j cap plus 2k cap, alright. And these are two skew line. Skew line is neither parallel nor perpendicular, kind of this. These are neither parallel not perpendicular. These two lines are lies in the different plane, which is neither parallel not perpendicular. Okay. So kind of this type of plane. So let us suppose this is our one plane and this is our second plane. So these are two plane which is in this plane the two line neither parallel nor perpendicular. Okay. So now we have to know the formula of these two line. So the minimum for finding minimum distance of skew line is A2 minus A1 cross B1 cross B2 upon magnitude of B1 cross B2, where B1, B2 are dr of these line and A2, A1 are the point on these line. Okay. So let's find it. Yeah. So firstly we have to find AB cross OC, I, J, K, 10 minus 2, 8, 3, 1, 2. So let's find the value of this. So I minus 4 minus 8 minus 12 minus j 10 to the 20 minus 24 plus k 10 plus 6. So this is equal to minus 12i plus 4k plus 16k, alright. So 4 ticket as a common, minus 3i plus j plus 4k. Alright, so this is equal to our AB cross OC. Now we have to find the magnitude of this. So magnitude of this is, magnitude of AB cross OC is 4 root over 3 square 1 square plus 4 square, 4 square 16 plus 9 25, 26. So this is equal to 4 root 26. Now let us assume the point A will be, the point A2 will be this 1 1 minus 6 or 1 1 minus 6. And the point A1 on line this OC, so you can assume origin also 0 0 0. So A2 minus A1 is nothing but 1 1 minus 6. Okay. Dot, oh sorry, dot आता है, dot A2 minus A1 dot, A2 minus A1 dot. This is also written A2 minus A1 dot. So dot this, so 4 minus 3i cap plus j cap plus 4k cap upon 4 root over 26 magnitude. So 4 cancel by 4. So minus 3 plus 1 minus 24 upon root 26. So minus 24 minus 3 is minus 27 plus 6 is minus 26. So this is nothing but equal to minus 26 upon root 26. So this is equal to root 26. But this is not the option. So, but in this question we have to ask the distance between. They don't say minimum distance, but the minimum distance is this. So the distance between these two lines must be greater than root 26. Root 26. So must be greater than. So if we assume any distance, then the correct option will be this, this and this. If we assume any distance, not minimum distance, but this is less than root 26, so this is can't be the answer. But if we assume minimum distance, so there is no one correct option. So this question is bonus question because there is no correct answer or a multiple choice A, B, D. Because if we assume the distance, because they don't say the minimum distance. So if we are assuming any distance, so the distance will be must be greater than root 26. So the option A also greater than root 26. Option B is also greater than, and option C is also greater than, option D is also greater than. So maybe option A, B, D correct or none of the option correct, depend on what we are assuming. If we are assuming minimum distance, then none option correct. If we are assuming any distance, then no option is correct. So for my choice, if you challenge this option, then this question may be the bonus question for all the student. Okay, so how is your exam and what are the marks for what is the marks in mathematics? Tell in the comment. Okay, so guys, and fill the form in the comment section, so we can predict the cutoff of next examination, and I hope you are do best in your next exam. And the cutoff will be the cutoff of this year will be increase for last year, because this paper is slightly easy to moderate, not so tough level for each subject, not only even for mathematics. So the cutoff will be high for this year. Okay, so bye bye guys, have a nice day.